Expressing your love can look many different ways. And with the right jewelry gift from Blue Nile, it can truly sparkle. Blue Nile's collection of classic diamond jewelry makes for the kind of gift that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Or switch things up with a sapphire piece sure to spark conversation. Either way, Blue Nile's Diamond Guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Express yourself with Blue Nile and get up to 30% off at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
At Leidos, a brilliant mind is smart, but a brilliant team is smarter. A ship that finds enemy subs is smart, but an autonomous fleet, that's smarter. Defending against cyber attacks? Smart. Stopping attacks before they start? Smarter. And using AI tools is smart, but integrating trusted mission AI into your technology is smarter. We're not just making technology solutions in national security and health. We're making smart smarter. Leidos.
Go for it.
Oh, sorry. Hello. Hello, EggChasers. How are we? This is the EggChasers Rugby podcast, a podcast about rugby. It doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. I've got an awful cold, but that's not going to stop me. I'm here with Tim. Hello.
Hello, JB.
And with Phil. Hello.
Hello, JB.
What an ambush. I feel like Exeter Chiefs in the last 5 minutes of a game.
Oh, God. Assaulted by Ibitoye.
Yeah, just wasn't expecting it. Bang.
Oh,
lost.
We've got lots and lots to talk about on this episode. Firstly, though, let's just do the boring but absolutely essential housekeeping. Well, firstly, thank you for listening. Appreciate it. We're into our 12th season podcasting, and we're there for you every single Monday morning, 52 weeks of the year. And if you appreciate that fact, hit subscribe wherever you are and get more content at patreon.com/EggChasers if you want to support the podcast, keep the lights on, and get extra stuff, sometimes spicy stuff.
Very spicy. We're going to do Patreon today, I think.
You got some stuff you need to get off your chest, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been Mental Health Week. And I just need to... World Mental Health Week, of course. And I just need to talk about the absolute...
No, just save it for Patreon. Save it for Patreon.
What's going on in rugby?
Okay, right. And... what was I going to say? Oh, yes, if you want to find JB, you can find him on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. If you want to find Phil, he's lurking.
Always.
And if you want to find me, you can go to EggChasers Rugby on YouTube. I got my silver play button this week.
What does that mean?
100,000 subscribers.
Well,
I mean, I'm at 117,000 now, but YouTube it takes a while.
Do you actually get a physical button sent to you?
You get sent a little trophy thing.
Do you treat that like the French treat the top 14 title? Do you surf on it?
It's the same shape as the Brennans, actually. Yeah. That's a good shout, actually.
Do you throw it into Skittles? What do you do?
Interesting. What will I do?
Slip and slide.
I don't know. It'll probably sit next to my Guinness World Records certificate.
Oh, look at that! Pride of the place.
Yes. So
do we have any records for this podcast? We must have a record for this podcast.
Longest running rugby podcast in the world.
Surely we can apply to Guinness for something.
OGs, most hours of podcasting in rugby ever.
Yes,
definitely.
100%. Yeah, there's no one that comes close remotely.
Quality or quantity, frankly.
Well, I was going to say, bearing in mind that a lot of people would... I was going to say there might be some people that have as many podcasts, but no, they don't. But they definitely don't have as many hours, because we somehow, even when there's no rugby on, manage to rack up
nearly 2 hours
every week.
Record for the most individual listens for a podcast, although there are some large now. I think I probably have a record for the most individual people walking away from a podcast.
Most comments on a Reddit thread.
Oh, no. Howard Stern. So Howard Stern, one of the most famous radio DJs ever. It's gone off the rails a little bit more. Lost it a bit, but he was pretty amazing his day. Anyway, he said that the people, I've said this before on the podcast, the people that love him used to listen for an hour a night. The people that hated him listen for 3 hours a night.
That's true, isn't it?
So true. There's so many, we get so many hate listens. And I'm here for it. Hello.
Yes, hello. Hello to the haters.
And you can always get in touch, contact eggchasers@gmail.com. And we do have a bunch of emails, which I will get.
Loads of emails, and they've got a theme. As of 5 o'clock today, we've got a lot of emails.
Well, should we start with that?
Yeah, I think, we can do.
Okay. Well, because we're going to cover all the various rugby, and we'll dive into various bits. In fact, is there any news, firstly, this week? Nothing especially, is there?
There's some rugby laws going to global trial that we'll touch on.
Great, can't wait for that.
Yeah, we can.
One of which we've been talking about for a long time. So World Rugby have listened to us.
World Rugby have listened to us on that.
We'll touch on that.
Yeah, we'll touch
much later.
We'll touch on that later. If you had to sort of bubble down the rugby weekend, or like the Premiership, for example, how would you bubble it down? And
playing rugby is a remarkably ineffective tactic to win a rugby game. That is my takeaway. And I've not seen Gloucester play, because they actually are one of the few teams in the league that can play rugby and score points. But actually, if you want to win a game, don't play rugby. It is not worth your time or your effort.
Well, tell that to Bristol.
Bristol and Bath.
Bristol are actually one of my poster children of not playing rugby. So are Sale. So are Exeter this week. And Harlequins.
Quins, yeah.
And the last one will be Leicester Tigers.
Quins, Tigers, yes. Bristol, not sure about that.
I'll explain later.
Yeah, you'll have to explain the Bristol one to me.
Yes.
Tigers, I get. Quins, I get. Sale, I mean, it was just a training run for Sale, so it's neither here nor there. But Bristol and Bath both played some rugby, Bath particularly in the second half.
Well, obviously it was dubbed Rivals weekend in the Premiership, and for the most part, lived up to the billing. You've already mentioned. I mean, it's not Newcastle Sale's not a rivalry, and
no, it's not.
It certainly wasn't.
It's a very friendly rivalry, isn't it? It's not like Blood and Thunder. It's like, well, we're both Northerners. Woe is us. Yeah. Need to stick together. That's not really a rivalry.
But Newcastle.
You've got the diamond link now.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just looking at Newcastle. It's definitely not a rivalry on the pitch, and it's not going to be anytime soon.
And also, Steve Diamond and Alex Sanderson were together at Sale FC today having a pint.
Were they?
Yeah, they were. So the idea is like, a blood-curdling rivalry. I tell you who wouldn't go for a pint: Mark McCall and Conor O'Shea.
Yeah,
that just wouldn't happen. So yeah, it's not the biggest of rivalries, put it mildly.
But and also, actually, there was one game within two games within a score, a try. There was a couple of beatdowns. And I one of my stories of the weekend is contenders, and I just look at Leicester's squad, and I just think with Montoya and Pollard coming back in, they're just like how they look irresistible to me. Just when you look at the names on paper, they look nasty. They look really horrible in a way that, because you've been talking about teams playing loads of rugby.
Yep.
Leicester just look like they can do the job by pulverising you.
That's exactly what they look like.
And Checker actually spoke about exactly that after the game, because he said he's very pleased 4 games in that he's got those the physical foundations, shall we say, in place, and that is something that can be built on, but won't be built on anytime soon. I'm kind of paraphrasing everything there, but it takes a lot longer to build the attacking patterns than it does to put in the physical foundations.
We could play attacking rugby, but we're going to choose not to. I hope you're all happy with that.
Yeah. We will be winning, though, so as long as you're okay with winning, you can't complain.
Yes.
Comebacks is the other story. Bath were behind at half-time, and then absolutely spanked Gloucester. Bristol were well down, as we know.
Yeah, Gloucester, who lost several players through injury throughout the game, so that didn't work in their favour and did work in Bath's favour. Yeah. Bristol, with 15 minutes on the clock, were 20 points down. Away at Sandy Park, 20 points down, and went on to score, 28 points in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable.
The second half was nuts.
Yes.
That was insane. But yeah, loads of really good rugby.
Yes.
And yeah, shall I just jump to an email, JB?
Go for it.
Yeah. Is it one about this afternoon's game?
It's one about this afternoon's game. There's a few about this afternoon's game.
There are one or two.
I'll just start with this one from James Dixon. Gents, pod, good, blah. I'm waiting for JB to accept. It's titled JB Apology Incoming.
Someone has not been listening to this pod for long enough. I think that's going to happen.
After the prediction that Quins would have the biggest defeats of the weekend, I think was what he said last weekend. And then Simon Reynolds-Jones, long-time listener, love the pod, blah. Please can you get JB to read out his predictive summary from last week of what would happen at Quinn Sarri's game today, then read the result. Well, some members of the podcast, Simon and James and Paul, just looked at another one there, and Charlie. There was one member of the podcast that predicted a Quins win.
Yeah, I did not. I thought Saracens would have enough for them. I didn't predict quite the margin that JB did, but I was wrong and very happy to admit it. Well done, Harlequins.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate day. Harlequins played well. Now, before I talk about Harlequins, I'm going to elaborate on what I mean by not playing rugby is a great way to win games. We can link this to Harlequins, okay?
Yeah.
So I was watching Sale versus Newcastle when they went live to the game. And what struck me about this game, which was very interesting in the first half, in the opening few salvos, is actually these teams are very well matched. So if you're just looking at a set defence against set attacking patterns, there wasn't really much difference in them. You know, when
early on, first 20 minutes.
Yeah, first 20 minutes. When Newcastle got the ball, they were pretty competent. When they didn't have the ball, they were pretty competent. When Sale had the ball, they were pretty competent, and vice versa. Now, if you look at teams up and down the league, they're all pretty competent. Like, if it's just literally nuts and bolts rugby within phase play, they're all pretty competent, which is why it's an incredibly ineffective strategy to play much rugby. Now, when Sale started to rack up the points, it's because they created chaos. And in this case, I've seen this twice now. Gus Waugh, box kicking, Aaron Reid chasing, or Carpenter chasing, or someone.
Or Roebuck chases very nicely.
And it's that mayhem. It's the mayhem. So if you want to win rugby games, you've got to create these situations where you can create mayhem and then hopefully get the luck of the bounce because you practice that situation more and more. Now, you can do that with kicking. I think kicking is easily the best way to do it. If you look at South Africa, I mean, how many tries do they score when they just, put the ball up and wait for Caden Moody to chase it, or whoever the guy is that they've decided is a super fast guy this week. Who's the other one that's great at that? Arances are unbelievable.
Colby, Mapimpi.
Yeah, they're all great at it.
Pick any of them, yeah.
Right, so that'd be one way. The other way would be what Exeter and Bristol deployed, which is a couple of individuals that are just much better athletes. And when they get an inch of space, so you can do it with like an exceptional carrier, which are incredibly hard to find in heavy traffic, a very fast carrier, which is what Exeter and Bristol had. I mean, Ibatoya this week was dynamite. But then so was Paul Brown-Bamso.
Brown-Bampo and Faye Waboso.
Yeah.
And someone who scored maybe the best try of all of them, who we mentioned heavily last week, Ogray.
Oh, yes.
Gabe Ogray, his try, any back, Faye Waboso would have been delighted to have scored that try. It was awesome.
Yeah, he is very, very good. So then we come to Saracens Harlequins. And I watched the first 20 minutes of this and I thought, God, Saracens look slick. So what I like about the Saracens way is they do play, but it's their kicking game that shapes the pitch.
Yep.
And you see it all the time. They'll go one way, and then all of a sudden, one of the experienced players will, dab it into the backfield, and it's a nightmare because you've got to turn, and then all of a sudden you're turning, then you're defending, then you're turning, and they are masters of that. I think that's why they've been so successful for so long. And I think the biggest difference maker today, or one of the big difference makers, was a guy who's played terribly for 2 out of 3 weeks. In fact, I think he's only played 2 weeks. He had one week off. Lee Halfpenny.
He was very, very important.
Lee Halfpenny
the high ball.
shut it down.
Yeah.
And then what were Saracens left with? They were left with just bog standard phase play, and they got battered because they didn't have that option to create chaos. They didn't have the option to turn the defence. I mean, it's a very subtle thing, but I think Lee Halfpenny was the difference between these two teams. I mean, other people will point to various forward carries. Finn Baxter had a good game. Lots of guys had a good game, but it's that ability to shape what Saracens did, which I think allowed Harlequins to really go on top.
It's one thing not allowing Saracens to get the ball back from contestable kicks, but then Quins also then managed to... Saracens couldn't shut them down defensively in the way that Quins could shut Saracens.
There was 3 tries in total scored.
Yeah.
2
to Quins, 1 to Saracens.
Yeah, so Quins could afford to keep it tight. They could afford to, play fairly unQuinsy, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't play a huge amount of rugby.
No.
And they kicked astutely, and they got into that arm wrestle, And I'd agree with everything you said. I thought Halfpenny was very, very important in the air. I also thought the way the whole Harlequins pack fronted up defensively was huge.
Massive,
because
yeah.
Saracens, we've seen them at other times not winning that aerial battle, but able to punch holes in through the forwards and through the heavy traffic carries that then can create space elsewhere. And they weren't able to. And Finn Baxter, Louis and Herbst, and I thought Kenningham was awesome.
Kenningham's a great player
In defence.
He hasn't been at his normal level.
Well, he's struggled since injury, hasn't
But
he?
he was great.
Yeah.
He was great today.
So he
was great today. He put in a massive hit on Itoje halfway through the second half, and he was an absolute menace at the breakdown as well.
But I think it was that ability not to allow Saracens to choose the moments to play. I mean, Saracens just had to play. Whenever they got the ball, they had to play. And then, actually, Quinn's got a pretty nasty pack.
Well,
Yeah,
well, actually, when you look at the game, there was very little to choose, and it was very tight and technical and physical. But Quinn's had one sniff and dropped the hammer and nailed it. The try from Anyanwu from halfway.
Yeah.
That was one person taking a gamble on an offload, breaking the gain line, one pass, done.
Yeah.
Tell you what, if Anyanwu comes through to be half as good as I think he might be, I mean, that's a hell of a bit of salary cap construction to let someone go who is expensive as Esterhazen, thinking that he's the centerpiece of your entire
no, you can't
organisation.
replace Esterhazen.
Well, you and you should never try either.
No.
You should never get like for like. But getting this guy in who's not like for like, he's a very powerful boy, not like for like. But if he can continue on his development, that's exactly what you do.
He's a very good player, Anyanwu. He is not like for like, but with Esterhazen going, the one person who can replace his size and physicality going forward is Cunningham South.
Yeah.
It's just about the only player that Quins have got who can carry us
Now,
physically.
On the Saracens point, and I'm just looking at they had Marcus Smith in their halfback partnership. Saracens have a top level 9 or 10, and I think they probably win.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. What?
Because there isn't anyone that can manipulate the defensive picture in the way that you talk about, and that's what really good players do. I
actually think that Lee Halfpenny... I mean, we've seen Lee Halfpenny do this to such great effect that Wales played with a flat 14 defence and Lee Halfpenny,
But the fact he did it so many times, does that not speak to the fact that they went, hold on, let's change the picture?
Yeah, it's always game cat and mouse. But with Saracens, it isn't the 9 or the 10 that does the majority of kicking. They tend to go wide. You've got Lazowski who can kick. You've got Good that can kick.
No, it's not the 9 or 10 now.
No, but it was ever.
Which is kind of my point.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you, Tim. I think if Farrell was playing, or even you swap Marcus Smith and Fergus Burke over, it probably is a 17-10 scoreline the other way, because there was not a huge amount between these two teams.
Which is why Marcus Smith is worth the big bucks, which he was being offered, apparently £800,000.
Who offered him that?
I'm assuming it was. I don't know. It was another Premiership club. Was it Bristol? I didn't read the story.
I've not even seen the
story
headline
this week.
That'd be a crazy amount for another Premiership club to offer.
But it's not. It wouldn't be Bristol's first rodeo in
being crazy.
In being crazy from stealing players from other clubs, notably Sinclair or Ellis Genge, for example.
This is true.
Who were not quite paid that much, allegedly. But it was not a million miles away from that much, and they were ineligible to be
800k. I would never spend 800k.
England Star turns down 800k deal.
You can do for a marquee player, particularly when you have two marquee. But he could not. Yeah. It's impossible for him to be a marquee player for 3 years.
There's literally no way I'd spend that money.
Yeah, it was crazy. It would be crazy.
Well, it's a rumour, but apparently he turned down 800k from Bristol.
These rumours, there is often some truth behind them.
Yeah,
they paid 500 for Nathan Hughes.
Yeah, and similar for Sinks and Genge, allegedly.
The other rumours are, as you mentioned last week, Rafi Quirk is out of contract at the end of the season, and Bath and Saracens are having a sniff around.
I think he just needs.
Bath sounds so good for him.
I think he needs to go to the south of France to get some. The treatment they did that Toulon did for Joanne Smith.
Yep.
Yeah. I think he needs some of that.
Was it
treatment.
salted water or something?
It was something medicinal.
Do you remember when
Who knows?
We got hauled over the coals by Ben Ryan.
Ben Ryan.
Because we spoke about the deer antler treatment for one of the Fijian boys.
Yeah.
It's not deer antler, whatever it is.
Antler. Yeah. Who was that?
I could not remember.
Wasn't it Waisaki Naholo?
Yeah, I think it might have been.
The New Zealand winger. Who then went to...
Fix his leg with something.
Yeah. Some magic treatment.
Yeah, so as for Harlequins, I mean, well, Saracens are the last undefeated team to be defeated now. So the best record you can get in the Premiership is 3-1.
It is.
So they're still up there. Very positive for Harlequins.
Yeah.
And Christ, I mean, just look at, I mean, the scores have not been as close as previous weeks, but the table looks absolutely ferocious.
It does, from 7th upwards, I think it does. Bottom 3.
Yeah, but who's in the bottom 3? Ignore Newcastle. Look who those teams are.
Yeah, Gloucester and Exeter. But again, Exeter, I've said this every week this season. I think they to me do feel a bit away from making a charge on the top 4. As in a couple of years away.
That is the second game of the season, though, and there's only been 4 games. It's the second game where I've, just like the first one against Leicester, I go, Henry Slade's on that team, they win that match.
No.
Maybe.
No.
I mean, this game, to concede 28 points in the last 15 minutes, that is not good.
What's behind that? Is it... I mean, because you can't not give credit to Bristol, yes, but leadership... I think so. A bit of savvy, which is kind of what I'm saying. I'm not going Henry Slade's and a player worth 10 points all on his own, but to that Exeter team, he might be, because...
They definitely need some moral fibre. Like, they definitely need something because they're brittle.
Well, look at the games that he won for them last year in the Champions Cup and in the Premiership.
Yeah, this is a different
just
type
by
of
being
problem
there.
They've got, I think. I think the problem here is, like, they just don't do... As a team, they don't do things well. So when he was winning games for them, they've done things well, they've put themselves in a position, and he kicks points, and that's great.
They did things well in this game to get 28 points ahead.
But again, where do the points come from? They were,
four tries from their 2 wingers.
Yeah,
is where the points came from.
One was a pickup from the base. Like, they haven't, believe you me, they have not coached that. So when you see Exeter breaking down this season, it's all the basics around the ruck, around the clear out. It's that kind of stuff. Now, Henry Slade doesn't fix that. So I'm not sure if it makes a huge difference. These are big systems.
He manages the game better for them. Exactly like we've just said about Saracens. Saracens have Owen Farrell. They win that game against Quins.
I don't think they do. I think teams are bigger things than just a couple. Not that you're saying they are just a few individuals. But I don't think they win.
But the individuals who can manipulate the space, can read the game, can feel the game, and can just... take control of games.
Mea culpa, I did just say that Lee Halfpenny won the game on his own, so
yeah.
If you just park that comment.
Yeah. So what I'm worried about, I'm really worried about Exeter, because I think you look at their Champions Cup fixtures, they're playing at home. They've got Toulouse and Bordeaux.
Yeah, they're not winning those.
No,
I'm going to let you into a secret.
And they go away to, I forget who they go away to, but it's 2 tough teams.
Yeah,
they go away to. So. The Premiership's only 18 games. We're 4 in. They've got Newcastle next, so that should be a win. Fine.
Yes.
But then they've got another tricky game, and if they're 1 from 6, I think. And bearing in mind, then we break for Champions Cup.
Are you saying Baxter out?
No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I will never say Baxter out.
Yeah,
I'd say Baxter for England before I'd say Baxter out.
Baxter out.
However bad Exeter do, but. I've just got a feeling that their season could be over by the middle of December.
I think
you are right in that.
As title contenders, I don't think this is the year for them. But I think towards the end of this year, they'll be a very competitive outfit. And if you look at what they have the raw physical assets. I'm not worried about are the players good enough. I'm just worried about are they experienced enough, and when does it all gel?
Exeter's 2 away games. They travel to Durban to face the Sharks.
Brilliant.
Even at Smith Sharks. And they have to go to the Kingspan, Ravenhill, to face my boys.
They could win that one. There is a chance.
That is it's their most likely game to win, definitely.
And the farce of a Champions Cup setup is they could actually qualify with that 1 win.
Amazing.
possible.
I mean, they are a team that deserves to be knocked out in the first round in a straight knockout format. They deserve to lose, get knocked out, and then concentrate on the Premiership.
I do feel it's unlikely that if they do win that, they'll go through because they have Bordeaux, Leicester Tigers, Sharks, Natal Sharks, and Toulouse. So it's unlikely that one win will take them through.
So let me just posit a theory on you now. I think of those teams you read in that pool, not that they play each other, but nevertheless, but the competition of the European Cup will be more damaging to Leicester Tigers than it will be to Exeter Chiefs. Because Exeter Chiefs will go into Europe and they'll get panned if they play as they are now. But they get panned using kids, and they've got loads of kids, and they're all, broadly speaking, interchangeable. I mean, who is Jack Vermaelen is important to them?
He is.
Who else is important?
He came back this week and he only played 50 minutes, and maybe, to Tim's point, his leadership and experience in the last 30 was missing.
So who is...
Until he went off, they were winning by 20 points.
So who else is really important to them, particularly in the pack? Who would you say they cannot lose that guy?
Well, beyond that... I think a lot of them are interchangeable.
Yeah, there's no one, is there? There's no one that you say that's a...
You could argue Yendel for that leadership and experience.
Yeah, Yendel is a good player.
But Frost is very good.
Frost is very good, so I'm not really worried about that. I think it is maybe that we just... leadership is their issue. I mean, they don't have Chunza or Jenkins in that pack.
Yeah, Jenkins makes a difference. Jenkins does make a difference.
Yeah.
Chunza maybe more of a liability. But the point I'm going to make here is they go to Europe, they get panned, they interchange some extra uni kids with some other extra uni kids, and fine, off they go. And they'll get stronger from it, and they'll take their learnings, as simpletons say. Leicester Tigers have a nailed-on starting 7, I would say. Starting 8, sorry. Like, you could pretty much go through the squad and say, that is the starting pack, and it's mega. But I think Europe could really, really take out of them 4 tough games.
There's only 18 Premiership games now, so it's not a worry. They've got November off.
Yeah, but you only need to... Leicester Tigers only need a handful of injuries, and then their standard drops drastically. If they are missing 3 of their pack, that is a real problem for Tigers, because the difference between their starters and the guys that replace them is enormous. So they can't really... I mean, they're physical because their starting 8 is so physical. After that, it becomes very tricky.
I think you might be right, because it will be like Leicester Tigers.
They're playing the same team. Yeah.
Have to travel. They travel to Bordeaux. They then host Ibn Etzbeth Sharks. They then host Ulster, which might be their one win, and then they travel to Toulouse.
Yeah, they're going to pick up. They're not
getting anything in against Bordeaux.
Their fans are having a good time, though.
Yes, they are.
Bordeaux and Toulouse, fantastic.
That's
trips.
Amazing. It does not get better than that.
Yeah, they are. That is pretty good.
And the way they play as well, it's just not going to be successful.
Just jumping sideways slightly.
Yeah.
So this was Rivals Weekend in the Premiership, and there are some great rivalries. Which one do you think is the rivalry in Premiership rugby?
Gloucester Bath for me.
What do you think?
That's the one I'd most want to watch this weekend. If someone said, where do you want to go? I'd want to wear black and blue or cherry and white. I don't really care. 2 great clubs, and I'd love to go and watch that.
I do like the East Midlands derby.
And I love the Quins v Saracens, because it's...
At the moment,
Quins v Saracens is very under the radar, though, isn't it?
It is.
It's very current.
It's very
the last
that's
5
exactly
years.
what I mean. So Leicester Northampton, you conjure up all those images of those big fights,
and Gloucester Bath,
and the atmosphere would be great. And also, both have been like the powerhouses at various times, and Saints being the champions currently. I get that.
So there's something about Leicester Northampton that I want to bring up, right? For all the belly aching from certain corners of the media and the rugby administration that we need to change the face of rugby, we want to stamp out dirty behaviour, we want to stamp, which I think maybe at some point we might have said too. I mean, I think I'd like a looser game rather than a stricter game. The one image that keeps on coming up over and over again for Leicester Tigers versus Northampton is what?
Ashton and Tulangi.
It doesn't die, does it? It doesn't die.
Did you watch the Rugby Review?
No.
This evening, which it got mentioned.
Did it?
Yeah.
It's such an iconic thing. I'm like, no more iconic moments, please. Absolutely no more of them. We're still talking about that. It must be 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. At least 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago,
Yeah.
and we're still talking about one punch, and we're desperate to eradicate all forms of violence from the game, but we're still talking about that. Why is it? That should be the case study. Why is this thing, of all of the great tries, like the Tom Wood try in the semi-final?
And no one's talking about it going, we need to just say how shameful that was.
Well, I think Chris Ashton was, when he was talking about it, he was not really relishing the fact that he got his face filled in by Manu Tuolangi.
Oh,
he did
man.
take
That's
it.
the thing. I think if Chris Ashton went down, right?
If he was knocked out cold,
Yeah, I'm not sure we'd still be
you'd
talking
never,
about it. I'd be like,
you'd
oh,
never
God.
see it again.
But the fact that he
you'd
took
never
the punch,
see it.
But yeah, you're right, Tim. It's not like, and now for some shameful moments from our past,
Yeah.
and they hold up this horrible image, and it wouldn't even be the image; it'd be one of those court sketcher guys just doing. We didn't want to show the kids this, so here we go. No, that's not what happened.
So there's-
every time they play it, we see that image.
So there's all that history in Gloucester Bath down the years, and Leicester Northampton, and the fact all four of those have always been in the top division, whereas, Harlequins and Saracens. But I just don't feel with the players that, a lot of the players are not from Gloucester, Bath, Leicester and Northampton as well. Some of them are, but even the ones that are, I don't feel, and maybe it doesn't come across, I don't think they have any kind of hatred towards each other.
Well,
whereas Quins and Saracens, it just feels like they really don't like
Yes,
each other.
because the money. And maybe this is a great point, Tim. The salary cap only applied to how many teams when Saracens weren't? 11 teams it applied to, and then Saracens, right?
Yeah, although prior to 2015, there was at least two other teams that it allegedly did not.
Alleged.
They allegedly
we
did
could
not.
name those alleged teams. But
Yes.
you can,
Well, we definitely know the salary caps didn't apply to Saracens.
Correct, because they paid £5.4 million as a consequence in a fine.
So, because of that, right, there's actually a knock-on effect that none of their players ever moved. So they did feel like Saracens. Everyone could hate them. Whereas if you look at Bristol and Bath, Bristol, Bath and Gloucester, there's a ton of players that move around those clubs. And they basically live all in Cheltenham anyway, or in Bath. And it's all so close. Like, a lot of them are mates. They're genuine mates. So it's not surprising. But if you went to Saracens, you never left Saracens, you don't live anywhere near the Harlequins boys, they hate you, you hate them.
yeah, Hugh Tizard was a rarity, wasn't it?
Tizard, and then going the other way via a few other places. Lamatelli.
Yeah.
Via Montpellier and somewhere else.
San Diego.
But regardless, the broader point I was just going to make on the whole rivals thing is none of them, and I don't think any two clubs in the world hold a candle to Leinster-Munster. 82,300 people watched that game last night.
Again, that's a recent one, I think. I don't think that's always been historically as big as Northampton.
Sure, the big Champions Cup years when it was Munster were in ascendance and then Leinster won it.
Yeah, okay, maybe. Maybe in
it was
professionalism.
It might have gone away for a bit.
Leinster didn't win it until 2009. At that point, Munster had won it multiple times prior to that.
Do you remember the Google I Feel Lucky search?
No.
So Google used to have two...
I do remember that.
Search and I Feel Lucky.
Yeah, where it would just take you to a random
page. Do you remember that, Tim?
No.
Right, so...
Yeah, I do remember that.
What would happen is you'd have the Google search box, right? And you'd have Google search and you'd have next to
It's
it...
still there. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, so if you don't search through your browser address...
Yeah.
So if you search through your browser address, if you just open a new tab, it's just a normal search bar with all your favourites.
Show Tim.
And if you go to actualgoogle.com, you have Google search and I'm feeling lucky.
That's amazing that it's still there.
It's still there.
It's been there your entire life, Tim, and you've never noticed it. But you wouldn't notice it.
I've never used it.
Yeah, no one's ever used it. So the gag used to be, if you put in famous Leinster Heineken Cup victories, it would send you to a link saying, did you mean famous Munster Heineken Cup victories? And that was a real thing. It started with football. Football started it, and then there was a Leinster-Munster one.
Very good.
But that is something else. 82,300 people watching the club game.
And Leinster won pretty comfortably.
Yeah. 26-5 at half-time, and then it kind of just...
So was it all... Because obviously Ulster played Connacht. Ulster hosted Connacht.
That was a great game. Your beloved Ulster won 32-27. That was a belter.
Yeah. Some pushover tries in both directions. Some nice tries in both directions. But good win. I'll take it.
One of the ways the URC is stacked with those shields that they have, the divisions, a bit NFL-y, where the Welsh teams all play each other home and away, and they play every other team home or away, and same with the Irish teams, and etc. That does mean Ulster have it really hard because they have 4 of their 22 games are against Leinster and Munster.
Yes.
Whereas Cardiff or Scarlet or whatever, if one Welsh team can gather a bit of form, they can get 6 wins.
Yes.
Well, it's meaningless, isn't it? That's the problem. It's absolutely meaningless.
Yeah, 6 wins, and for the privilege of those 6 wins and qualifying, you travel to either South Africa or Ireland.
The 1666 Cup or whatever it is for Scotland.
I'm going to the 1866 Cup at Murrayfield.
There you go. It sounds like a great.
I'm having Christmas in Edinburgh.
Just win one game and you've got a cup. Perfect. What's the Italian version?
I don't know, actually. It's a good shout. Well, it's just
Trophy.
The Negroni Trophy, which Zebre, they win if they get within 30 points.
That'd be great for them. That'd be great for them.
Zebre is so bad.
Leinster, well done.
Yeah,
Ulster, well done.
It was good.
Ulster cannot try harder.
It was funny watching RG Sneeman, and clearly the Munster fellas are pretty hacked off about that.
Yeah, no, that is.
Although Munster chose, they didn't have the money. They said we can have John Klein or RG Sneeman, and they chose Klein because Sneeman's been injured all the time, and now he's fit playing for Leinster
all the time. Great.
Yeah, Leinster they've almost already got more out of him than Munster did across 3 years.
Yeah, so annoying, isn't it? I mean, that is really the basis of a rivalry. That
I think basically he was always going to stay in Ireland because another year and he gets an EU passport. He gets an Irish passport.
But am I right in thinking that there have been a couple of transfers between Munster and Leinster? So Carberry would be another one.
Yeah.
Who else is there? I'm sure there's been a fair few. Maybe it's not.
You get more from Leinster to Ulster. Geordie Murphy and a few others got sent there, and John Cooney.
The Sneeman thing will also be made worse because of Jean Klein switching from a Ireland qualified player and an Ireland international to a South African international. Yeah. So when he signed for Munster, he would have been at least potentially IQP. But now no longer, thanks to switching allegiance.
So how are they still both there? Because
they're not, because Sneeman's...
No, but normally the IRFU have obviously said they can have more than one.
Yeah, and this is where we've discussed
foreign lock.
A 5 and a 4, for instance.
It might be a 5 and a 4. I've never seen it actually written down. Everyone kind of understands that there has historically been this precedent that you can only have one in each position, but I've never actually seen the rule in it. And it might just be, there might not actually be a formal rule, or it might be a 5 and a 4. Like Ed Lou said.
It might just be Leinster losing another Champions Cup and saying, no, we really need to win a trophy this year. Please give us Geordie Barrett and RG Sneeman.
Throwing everything at it.
And the double World and a double World Cup winning coach.
Did anyone see Bath versus Gloucester? Because it's a game I didn't see.
I saw the highlights.
I've not seen it at all.
Well, actually, I watched more than the highlights. You know, you were complaining last week about the 60-minute rerun, the 60-minute adjusted rerun.
Yes,
on TNT Sports. You can also go back and watch the whole game the morning after via the app, but it's better because it's all time stamped. So you can you can just watch it freely.
Like watching your like watching your own team that you coach on VO.
Use VO.
Yeah,
it's great, isn't it? Have you noticed that on VO you can actually zoom in on different aspects of the pitch? Yeah,
and you can, and it's got that 360 element, so you can.
It's great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Really good. A little shout out to
VO. Sponsor us. Sponsor the pod. It actually would be a good shout for VO.
Yeah, it would be. Talking of which, the VO caught Didsbury Tock H winning another game. 5 out of 6 now. LSH.
Nice.
Put to the sword.
Nice. LSH.
Yep. Next week it is Heaton Moor, and week after that it's Broughton Park.
Easy win. 2 easy wins coming for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, the university team, MMU, we got a last kick of the game winner in the opening league match.
Against who?
Against UCLan, University of Central Lancashire, their first team. And didn't play great, didn't put our shape into action, but pulled it out. But we're playing against the MMU team below us now.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, have you ever had that?
Tasty.
Like when you were at Lancaster playing like Lancaster? Can you imagine Lancaster 1s playing Lancaster 2s?
Or something.
That would be spicy.
Never in a league game.
Yeah, this is in a league game.
Yeah,
we didn't do
never
a
in a
league
league
game. Freshers
game.
versus Kings, and that was spicy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
And so it's 7:30 this Wednesday night at Broughton Park.
Oh,
is it?
exciting!
Yeah. I might pop down for that. I might walk down and watch it.
That'd be
Very
good
cool.
fun.
Yeah. As for shape, I mean, all we do is drill shape. And there's a saying, isn't there? Every black belt becomes a brown belt once they get punched in the nose. And this is exactly what happens to your rugby shape.
Yeah, just the lads just started. They were bigger. They made a few dents, and suddenly we started honeypotting around the ball.
Yep. Going around the corner.
Yeah.
So I thought we talked about shape. Oh, do you know the one which gets me? The excuse that gets me, which is, well, we had to be there because that's where the defenders were. No, that's where you don't need to be. Right? You dictate where the defenders go. You don't get sucked into where the defenders are. And we have it all the time. Like you look around at your shape and you're standing, because I play on an outside pod now. You look around like, where's that playmaker? Where is the guy that's
What
meant to
shape
be here?
are you? Is it 1-3-3-1?
We have 5 pods of 5. Imagine that, 25 players.
3-3-2.
And we've won 6 in a row. 3 pods of 5.
3. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah. So we have a playmaker in each pod, and then we have 2 forwards, 3 forwards, 3 forwards.
do you split like a dummy half, a 9 and a dummy half?
9, 10, and 15 are our playmakers. And
Okay.
they all switch into 9,
They're interchanged,
10,
9 and
all the
10.
rest of it.
I noticed. I know everybody has been using it for 5 years now, and everyone uses it. But I do like 1-3-3-1. It's so simple.
Yeah, it is. But I kind of think it's great for amateur rugby because, let's face it, if you can pull off any shape whatsoever, you're going to win your league. Like, if you can just, even half a shape, you'll be all right.
Half a shape, half the time.
Yeah, half the shape, half the time. You're so far ahead of everyone else. In professional rugby, though, I think you're right. These shapes are, I mean, you've got to do something, so let's run the shapes. But I don't think they're working. I think they're, you do it because you don't know what else to do. You do it in between trying to win penalties off each other, basically.
Gloucester Bath. So I didn't watch the full game, but I did watch it, the time-stamped game back. Gloucester started really nicely. Gloucester, the Llewellyn try was lovely. Thomas Williams, unsurprisingly, scored a nice try.
He is great, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's a great player.
Tremendous.
Yeah, great player.
We've said this before on the podcast. I think we said it maybe last week or the week before. I've always really rated him for Wales and never understood the stick he gets from Welsh fans.
Well, it's always been a distant admiration because, of course, I don't see him week in, week out for Cardiff. So I kind of know he's good. People I speak to watch Wales and Cardiff say, oh, yeah, good player. And for Wales, he's been good. But seeing him week in, week out, he's magnificent. He's such a good player.
Played great. So predictably, Thomas Williams played great. Predictably, after 18 minutes, Gareth Hanscom went off injured.
Oh, no.
So he got replaced by Charlie Atkinson, who took his try well, but then after that, so Gloucester lost 3 players in the first half, and then Bath.
Meaning George Barton is now a fullback for them because he was on the bench as well.
He came on for Carrera, so Hanscom was starting at 10, he got injured, Atkinson came on to 10, Carrera started at 15, and Barton went to 15. But in that scenario, Barton was kicking by the end of it with Atkinson
So
on the pitch.
I think with Gareth, what's his name? Thomas Williams, right?
Thomas Williams.
You need almost like an AJ McGinty type player. So I think Hanscom does work quite well with him. Hanscom's got a bit of flair, but kind of knows his way around. I think he's going to melt Sergio Carrera's head because Sergio Carrera just needs solid service and at a time of his choosing.
Yeah, he does the magic stuff.
Yeah, but if Williams is forcing that pace over and over again, I'm not sure that is a pairing that. I mean, it's either going to be unbelievable or it's going to be unbelievable.
I think Carrera stays at 15. We've seen that with Argentina. He is good, and occasionally he'll be the man of the match and win the match for you, but that'll be one game in 4, and he'll lose you a game at 10 as well. Whereas he's more consistently brilliant from 15.
I completely agree with everything you've said, except for one thing, which is he plays for Gloucester. And at this point, Gloucester are like, whoever can play, plays. The most fly-half looking guy has to play fly-half. So whether it be George Barton or... I mean, who would you do? Play out with George Barton and Carreras?
Or Atkinson.
Or Atkinson, yeah. Again, he's another one who's sort of 15/10. I mean, I know he wants to be a 10, but he's never shown me he's got the quality to do so over a prolonged period of time.
Do you remember when him and Finn Smith were kind of like 50-50 and Atkinson might have even been just a tiny nudge above Finn Smith?
Leicester thought they had pulled off a blinder getting him cheaply from Wasps. They thought like they had the number one guy in Pollard, they had the future-proof guarantee in
Charlie
Atkinson. And they also had Costello at the same time. You know, they were stacked.
Now the guy for Leicester...
Can I just point out, sorry, your washing machine sounds like a dog.
I think there is both washing machine and dog.
Oh, right.
Can I just say, you don't think the dog barking is the washing machine?
Tim is listening through cans.
I'm listening through headphones. The washing machine's making like a squeaky noise, and then
a dog is
I can now
separately.
clearly hear that as a dog.
Maybe we should push that door too. It would make sense.
Actually, you know what? It'd make more sense if I nip outside and retrieve my dog.
Okay.
Oh, is he outside?
Oh, is he outside?
It's bloody cold.
Yeah.
He's gone blind, you see, so he can't get back to his dog.
Oh,
he's a poor old boy.
Bless him.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, on Leicester fly halves, the young lad Woodward, who we mentioned last week, played 12, but he's, as I understand it, he's a 12 or centre/fly half. He looks handy. He had some lovely touches again this week, defensively and offensively. He made a great intercept, didn't quite have the legs.
Made his way back in naturally.
Oh, fantastic. Good lad. So, yeah, just starting to go on to Leicester Tigers Northampton.
Yes.
Which I think we've already touched on a lot of it in the Leicester Tigers physicality, which is the foundations that Chica has laid on, admittedly, some very big and very solid lumps. It's not hard to get some of those boys like Rafael, like Liebenberg, like Chesham, like Cracknell, like Montoya, like Harry Wells.
I love Harry Wells. He's so underrated.
Great lump.
So underrated.
To get those boys working bloody hard and being bloody physical, that's not that hard.
Nope.
But it paid dividends in this game. Yeah.
Now, the only thing I would say about the Leicester Tigers' strategy for winning is it is brutal.
It is.
And you need to work hard.
Yes,
and the risk that you take as well is massive. So the way to unstitch Leicester Tigers, do you know who I think will unstitch Tigers quite comfortably would be someone like Sale Sharks with a dual Curry approach. Just someone that can target those breakdowns over and over again because they hold the ball for so long. And if they can get over the gain line, they were making 2-3 metres every time that they hit the gain line. Now, admittedly, that's like 20 phases of work to get to where you need to be. And that's hard. You know, you get through 15 phases and Tom Curry steals the ball. That's kind of a waste of effort. So I think they're going to struggle against teams that can match them physically, obviously, but teams that can really dominate.
Very comfortable win, though.
It was.
It was.
And they shut down.
Northampton only scored in the 80th minute.
Yeah, last play of the game. But what I will say on that is Northampton had 2 disallowed tries.
Yeah, fair.
Both of which were immediately followed by the horrific injury to Graham.
Yeah.
Sam Graham, which we'll go on to in a second. But then the second disallowed try. So it's Sam Graham disallowed try, then he immediately has a horrific injury. And then after about 60 minutes, Pearson scores a try that's disallowed, and he then gets a yellow card immediately after because Leicester break and he kills the ball. So if those 2 tries both get allowed, if they just are millimetres in Northampton's favour, it is a different scoreline.
Yeah, fair.
We should just touch on the Sam Graham.
Oh,
and it's a horrific injury for Sam Graham.
It really is.
I've watched this. I watched it over and over again because I was trying to work out the offence because it didn't get shown.
There was no offence, was there?
Well, so I've watched it now. I don't actually know because I don't know the law enough. So what we know at the time was they didn't replay the incident, the tackle, in the ground or on television for good reason, because Sam Graham's knee, his foot gets locked in.
It's horrific.
And it's twisted and folded in half the wrong way. It's a horrific. It'll be him and it'll be 6 to 9 months out for Sam Graham.
Oh, same for
Andy Christie.
Andy Christie.
Yeah.
Just
horrific.
I watched it. The first time I watched it, I thought that's someone else's leg. No, it's not.
Oh,
But two things, by the way, on that.
On the Sam Graham.
Yeah, actually, sorry, maybe Christie's not the same. I think you can almost look at the Graham one, which is, this is the cost of doing business. If you're going to tell lads that they have to go low all the time, and then they start going really low, this is going to happen.
Well, yeah.
Now, it's rare, to be fair. Thank God it's rare.
It is rare.
But it's horrendous.
Well, I think the easiest way to put it is, if there's no injury, there's not even a question.
100%.
That's a yellow card or a pen.
100%.
Yes.
No, it's not a penalty.
It's not.
Or a penalty.
It's not even looked at.
Not even looked at. And no one's complaining about it not being looked at.
And a fair point to Rugby Review on TNT Sport. They pointed out a Finn Baxter tackle in the Saracens game where he was one knee on the floor before making the tackle. The tackle is made without any injury to either party. It's play on. It's not looked at all. Yeah. We would not even be talking about it in a normal week were it not for this horrific injury.
And this is what they want. This is what they want. If you want to hit someone, like hip height, you've got to do this. Particularly if you've got a situation like there was a yellow card for head on head. Was it Pollard? Maybe
Pollard. Yeah. Pollard and Furbank. I want to say.
Yeah, was it that one? Maybe
Pollard got a yellow card.
No, it's Wells, I think it was.
Okay.
So Wells gets stopped, and he is sort of who the guy tackling him, I can't remember.
Oh, was it Langdon?
Yes, it was Langdon. And to me, that's also not a yellow card, right? But if you want to encourage boys, to get Harry Wells at the height that they want him, he needs to be tackling about the height which Rafael tackled Graham. There's no two ways about it. And when you watch that again, I paused it just as Rafael has committed to the tackle, both his knees are off the floor. And when he hits the tackle, one knee is on the floor.
No, so there is. You've got to pause it almost frame by frame.
Yeah, you do.
So there is a point where he is maybe a foot away, maybe 30 centimetres away from making contact, and his right knee is on the floor.
Yeah, it's one knee, isn't it? Though
it's one knee prior, and then that knee actually comes off the floor for him to make the tackle. So at the time that he makes the tackle, both knees are off the floor.
Let's never ever let the situation happen where someone is looking, can you just see his knee in contact with floor before contact or after? No.
I think this is, I don't know the specific law, how it's written, but I think this shouldn't actually be a penalty.
No.
Now, from a principle of should the outcome, because one of the things that's been debated is, should the outcome impact the penalty, the severity of the penalty? Now, I'm actually okay with that principle, but only once you meet the illegal threshold.
Yes.
Well, it's like the eggshell skull situation.
Yeah, agreed.
If you punch someone in the head and they happen to die, that's on you. You've done something illegal.
Yeah.
But because I was reading a little bit about this, if you break into someone's house, you don't touch someone, but you scare them to death, that's your fault because you've done something illegal.
Yeah.
You've gone through that illegal on the flow chart. Was it illegal?
Yes.
Yes, therefore you suffer the consequences. If you happen to walk around the corner, you're perfectly just walking down the street, you bump into someone, or you don't even touch them, you just walk around the corner and scare them and they have a heart attack and die, that's not your fault. You're not held accountable for that because you've done nothing illegal. So
there's a similar one, right? Which is if you jump out of a bin dressed as a bear and someone shoots you in the face.
Yeah,
the guy who shoots you is
fine.
Is fine.
Yeah,
you thought it was a bear.
Yes, agreed with that. So this, I don't think Rafael is illegal, even though his knee touches the floor a second before, because when he makes the tackle, he's on his feet.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it.
He's on 2 feet.
Even if the knee's on the floor, do we want to go there?
No.
Well, you do have to draw the line somewhere. And I don't think it's dangerous, but then if you start saying, well, one knee on the floor, but then you've got somewhat like the in the Harlequins game, the James Chisholm got the yellow card because he interfered with the ball when he was on the floor out of play, 5 metres from his own line. Like you do have to draw the line on someone being out of the game at some point.
There has to be. So,
but if you're playing the ball and you're on a knee, fine. But the knee on the floor when tackling, I'm not bothered.
If he made a tackle, so if he's lying on the floor there and it wasn't the ball picking up and Elliot Daly's
I see what you're saying. So okay,
there does have to be a line somewhere.
Yeah,
and I'm okay. Like
I would.
You're on a knee, you're out of the game.
I'm just trying to think. I don't even see the problem with that. If you're lying on your back on the floor, you're not in an advantageous position to tackle someone. If you can still grab their ankle and pull them down, I wouldn't make that illegal.
Yeah, I would say if your chest is on the floor, no, actually, you can tackle on the floor. Why not?
Why not?
What's the issue?
Why not?
No one.
It's easier to get past someone that's on the floor than on their feet.
But sometimes, if someone falls out of a ruck, for example, someone's competing at the ruck, falls out of the ruck, and so an attacking player runs into space that should be free, and someone just falls in front of them.
I wouldn't make that illegal. If they're onside, I wouldn't make that illegal.
Well, see, I would keep that. That is illegal. I would keep it illegal.
The way I look at this, okay, in CrossFit we have bar over burpees. Okay, so you've got to jump over this bar, and if you touch the bar on the way over, you've got to do the rep again. Yeah. My argument is this is nonsense because nobody is trying to touch that bar to get an advantage.
It's harder.
And in the same way, nobody's ever going to choose, maybe with the exception of defending on your own line, to be on all fours.
Well,
maybe depending on your own line.
The chop tackle around the ruck is one where you do see, like, it's actually a very effective technique to just dive at someone's ankle and basically you're on the floor.
But even that, you can start on the balls of your feet and on your hands.
You can.
So why not just go to your knees?
You've got to,
I would.
We're not going to solve that.
Yeah, no. Generally speaking, I would simplify laws wherever possible. And actually, as long as you're onside, playing the ball, if you're off your feet, you're out the game. But any other action in rugby, I'm trying to think of anything where I kind of go where I care enough that also, if you're off your feet, you're out the game. No,
it's not true, is it? Because I think if I was on my knees looking up and I was onside, and my scrum half passed me the ball and I'd fallen over on my knees and I caught it, I'm not out of the game. So
you are.
But I guess I am.
By the laws of the game, you are.
I don't think anyone's ever going to penalise me for that. A trip over, I'm on my knees, the ball comes, I catch it, and then just fling it somewhere. Nobody. And also, you dive on the ball. So when you dive on the ball, you must be out of the game because your knees must be on the floor.
Yeah. So if you dive on the ball, as soon as you've got the ball on the floor, you're supposed to release
or immediately get to your feet.
You can slide onto it. No one's going to penalise you for that, are they?
No, because you either release or you immediately get to your feet.
But you're out of the game. Don't touch the ball.
Do you know what this is a perfect? This is a perfect place at which just to summarise the World Rugby Global Law Trials.
Okay,
because my general disposition is to simplify things.
Yeah. I agree with that. Now you can see these are ones that have been trialled in several places, including the Pacific Nations Cup and the Rugby Championship.
Yeah.
Now
they're getting global trials, which means they'll be in the Six Nations. Yes. Global international trials. So they'll be. I don't think they would do it in the Premiership after January the 1st. They wouldn't do it in one competition that spans.
Probably not.
Across. So it would just be Six Nations, I imagine, will be the first place we see it.
Yeah. So I'll go through. There's only six changes. You can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
First one, reduced conversion time. Conversions attempts to be limited to 60 seconds, not 90 seconds.
Doesn't need to be 60 seconds. Maybe stop the clock and restart it on kickoff, but don't care. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, and that's sacks or not. I don't mind that.
It's the same as penalty kicks. So because you had 90
fine.
seconds for conversion, so align.
It stops that ridiculous situation as much where someone's standing waiting till the timer goes down before they kick it.
On that, okay. Yeah. I understand with scrums, because with scrums it's a case of they're about to pack down, you've got 40 seconds, they engage, they collapse. 40 seconds, engage, collapse. Just let me throw this to you. 90 seconds with the shot clock and they're messing around. Is that not a good time for a broadcaster to catch up and recap with the game and tell you all sorts of interesting things in that natural break? You can't do it for scrums, but you can for kicks.
After a try, people would want to see how did that try just happen.
So that's a good time for replays. I don't think that's a necessary rule change. I'm not.
Bringing it in line with penalties, I'm okay with. I agree. Well, if they stop the clock after a try, then you have to do that. I kind of be with you.
You have to stop the clock, definitely.
But I'm okay. Yeah, fine.
So that's number one. Number two, you've just mentioned 30-second scrum and line-out limit. So scrums and line-outs must be set within 30 seconds to be managed by the referee.
Fine.
Now, you might see why Rezi Erasmus would want to have another tool in his toolbox in terms of ways that he plays. one of the notable things about South Africa in the last couple of World Cups is they like to take their time on.
Can I just say,
scrums.
this isn't going to fly. That 30 seconds rule is a nonsense. One, referees will not do it. Okay? Unless they are forced to do it, they will not do it.
Well, you know as well as we do that World Rugby will officiate their laws on referees. And force
Yeah.
them.
Now, here's why it won't happen. Because there are two overriding fears in rugby. One is make the game more entertaining, and the other one is make it safer.
Safer, yeah.
And I think that in the same way that you see the referees, they're completely impotent when they're saying, hurry up, hurry up. They just sound like idiots. Hurry up. And if the tight prop doesn't want to play, he doesn't want to play. And also referees will say to all props at all levels, tell me when you're comfortable. Because if you're not comfortable and something happened, and that goes
that's the thing.
Yeah. So they can't do this. I just think everyone needs to be sensible, and it's going to be, it'll happen
Well,
when it happens.
I hear what you're saying, but I think we will see more free kicks.
Yeah.
Yes, I think free kicks, I mean, on that basis, I don't think the free kick rule is bad. Maybe should they be able to do one setup, one reset?
I actually, for what it's worth, I agree. Like, you should treat these players like adults, and they know how long 30 seconds is. They know what the expectation is and the balance, and a ref should apply a bit of nuance. If it's a particularly muddy day and they're getting a bit of mud off their boots, fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, let's not hang around. So, but I wouldn't want the ref to go, come on, hurry up, you've only got 10 seconds left, hurry up. No, that's not what they do. The ref just goes, you're taking too long, free kick, go.
Well,
play.
The way the refs have managed the time on the user at the back of a ruck, they rarely stick to the 5 second rule, and they would only adhere to the 5 second rule if the scrum half is repeatedly pushing the limit, and then they will. But you see it, maybe 1 in 10 weeks of games, so 1 in 60 games.
Yeah. I've never, in fact, I might have
twice
seen it
a season.
They just say, so I'll just use it as a scrum going the other way. I've only maybe a handful of times.
A handful. Yeah, probably less than that. Like 1 every 100 or 200 games.
Just on the scrummage, the one thing I really hate about it. So with the kicking, it's one thing. Just do everything faster. You can still use the same players. They just do it faster. Right? What I hate about the scrimmaging is there are lads out there who have tailored their careers to do one particular thing, and I hate the idea that at the stroke of a pen, because some idiot somewhere decides, it needs to be more accessible and more fun. Well, you can potentially
just to challenge that. That's what everyone said after they got rid of the hit in the scrum. Like Adam Jones was less effective than he was before, but
he was.
It didn't really have that much of an impact, and you can adapt. And I think these players can adapt to this. It's not such a significant change to go in.
30 seconds to
get a shuffle on.
Yeah, and if you start finding your big props becoming very ineffective, and there's other consequences.
Well, so you might say just shed a few kgs.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that. But then we've got this situation when at the start of the pod we said playing rugby against each other is remarkably ineffective. So what the scrum actually does is open up a ton of space, which is important. And do we want more hyper-athletic, I mean, yes is the answer, I guess, but more hyper-athletic guys that can run around the field faster, making more hits? Because it's not going to lead to better rugby. I can tell you that much. It's going to lead to stingy defences.
Well, Oxenshade was pretty good around the park in the Rugby Championship. He's quite often in the pivot position in his little pod with his handling and stuff.
But maybe we have a situation where that guy disappears. That guy disappears because they're forcing the pace so much.
I don't think it's going to change it too significantly. I'm broadly okay with that one, and I have more of an issue with the maul.
Well, let's go on. So the next one, we'll do the maul next actually, because that's one that I do have a bit of an issue with. Single stop mauls. The ball must be played after 1 stoppage in a maul, rather than 2 stoppages, which I just don't feel like. I just don't feel
as soon as it stops, you have to use it.
That is so stupid.
Yeah.
That is so stupid.
It's so unnecessary.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why this is stupid. It's stupid, right? Because it signals to the defence the ball is going to go.
Going to come out. Yeah, it has to come out now.
What they'll do is they'll tell us there's a panel of experts somewhere, and it'll be like, they'll name people like Conrad Smith says, and this referee says. And, look, I've spoken to professional rugby players before, and I've explained aspects of the game that I understand to them, and they'd be like a high level back, and they have no idea. right? So these rules have not been thought. That rule has not been thought through. A lot of people use the use it once called by the referee as the launch signal to play the ball from the back of a maul. Use it once is a cue for the attack, and now it's going to be a cue for the defence. Use it twice is a cue for the defence. Yeah, this is nonsense. It's high level nonsense. Like, the maul is one of the key ways to open up space for everything else. Yep.
To tie players in.
This is
it's not been thought through.
Yeah, this is the level of understanding that you see if you go on Twitter and follow someone like Paul Williams, who's just a classic, very nice man, does not understand rugby for the life of him. It's just more offloading, less scrums, less line out. No, it's a scrum, it's a line out, it's a box kick, it's a maul that gives you all of the space.
As Rob Baxter said, you can always stop a maul, you just have to commit more men to it, and that creates space elsewhere, which is why teams don't put more men into a maul.
The rules should be geared up to do one thing, okay? Increase the variance of shapes and sizes on a rugby field. Because once you do that, then you get matchups. All of these things are designed to increase the time of ball in play, which decreases the variance in size.
Or increase the variance of tactics, the variance of ways that you can play the game. And the next one we'll touch on reduces the number of ways you can play the game, reduces the amount of tactics. So the next one is marking inside the 22. Players can now mark the ball inside the 22 from a restart, which means that you are never going to kick long. So you're never going to have that variance in tactics. You are always going to kick to compete.
Well, no, because I've already been thinking about this from a tactical point of view. So firstly, why are they doing it? I think the reason they're doing it is... It could be. I could be wrong on this, but I'm thinking it's safety and trying to stop a number 8 that's back there on his own 5 metre line, catching the ball and having a 10 metre, 15 metre run up against someone who's run 30 metres towards him to have a big crunch.
Point this out, though.
Well, but you can do that from a mark.
In fact, if anything, that's your advantage, isn't it?
Their commentary says encouraging more contestable kickoffs. So that is what they're trying to do.
They're trying to not go for deep kicks. I suppose you go deep kick, what happens is you set up a position, either that phase or the next phase or the next phase, where you then exit and kick to touch.
Exit. So it's because all this is to do with increased speed and increased ball in play time. So what you get if you kick deep, the likely scenario, not always, but the likely scenario is someone will take the ball and either clearing kick or pass line out. So it's kick off, takes 3-4 seconds to get there, kick 3-4 seconds to get there, and you're back on the halfway line with a line out, having another minute. So you've got a minute and a half before anything has happened. Yeah. That's what they're trying to avoid.
Okay.
So I think on this one, they're saying increase contestable.
Yeah, encouraging.
So it'll be short. It'll be short. Like it used to be the case. Most kickoffs way back when would be
right on the 10.
Across the field, trying to land it just past the 10.
So just let's work this out between us, right? So if it was contestable, and the teams believed it was really truly contestable, the kicking team would do this anyway. It wouldn't need a law change. Well, so why are they sending it along?
Well, the problem with the contestable
to get a line out straight away, as Phil just said. So the reason you kick long is so you get the line out when they kick it out.
Problem with the contestable kick is let's just call it a 50.
But you still get the line out. You'd mark it and then you'd kick it off the line out anyway.
Expressing your love can look many different ways, and with the right jewelry gift from Blue Nile, it can truly sparkle. Blue Nile's collection of classic diamond jewelry makes for the kind of gift that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Or switch things up with a sapphire piece sure to spark conversation. Either way, Blue Nile's Diamond Guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Express yourself with Blue Nile and get up to 30% off at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Make us your game day headquarters this football season. Stop by the new ESPN Bet at your nearest Penn Play destination. Watch the best games on our giant screen TVs. Throw back a few ice-cold pints. And tackle the area's best game day food. To find a Penn Play destination near you, visit PennPlay.com. Score big this football season at your Penn Play game day headquarters. Sponsored by ESPN Bet. Hope is here. Call 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. Live chat at GameSenseMA.com.
Have I got it wrong?
Yes.
It only works if it's a penalty.
You would do that.
You are correct. I guess the difference is
You just get more chance time to do it.
You just get more time to do it.
More
so
time to do it. So presumably
greater distance.
Greater distance.
But on the contestable kick, so if current scenario, you kick deep, someone kicks out, you get a line out. Let's just call it on the halfway line. It's a 90% chance, because they're unlikely to do anything else. 90% chance you're going to get a line out on the halfway line or 10-metre line. If you do a contestable kick, you are 50% likely to get the ball on the 10-metre line, because it's a 50-50 contest.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to kick deep because you're more likely to get the ball on the halfway line.
But hang on. If I know it's going to be contestable, right?
Yeah.
And I now know
and the opposition knows it's going to be contestable.
The opposition know. And I also know it's going to land in this kind of area because it is.
And the opposition know.
Right. Why don't I just put up a pod of forwards and then it's no longer contestable?
What do you mean?
So like I just get 2 lifters and a jumper.
So for the defence or the attack?
For the receiving team. So now it's no longer contestable because I've got guys in the air.
Because you've got lifters in the air.
So then you've got to ban that.
Yeah,
Why don't we just do a drop ball? Why don't we just do a drop ball? If you want a contestable, just throw it in the air. Just let the referee throw it in the air. Or no, leave it on the side. 3, 2, 1, and both teams charge towards it. It's stupid.
The bit I don't like about that is it's you're narrowing the tactics. You're kind of forcing people down one route. The bit that I don't mind, and when you were talking before about the chaos of the box kick, for example, one of the good things about the chaos of the box kick is it creates uncertainty, turnover ball, and then therefore broken field running.
Yeah.
And this can potentially, unless you just your defending team just gets a pod of forwards up and
done. Game over.
Then
2 pods of forwards.
This can create the that chaos. So I don't think it's all bad, but I think you're funneling tactics down one narrow.
What I would probably do if I were coaching a team, which I might be coaching a team under this rules as you may be next year, JB. I would still go long, but I would go long towards the touchline. So on your own on the 5 metres from the touchline, mark it there if you want. So that's fine. That's fine. Take as long as you want to kick it from a narrow angle.
That's a good point. That is a good point. You would just go as deep as right on the 5 metre line.
Just from a laws point of view now, just try and think if you can of any law which would increase the variance of size of players, because that's what you want. So the obvious one I would do would be interchanges. Now, obviously, this goes against the health and safety.
That's what they do in France.
Interchanges are key because you could afford to have some of the biggest humans on the bench for 10 minutes either side of the half, and people go, "Oh well, what use is that?" They break the line. They break the line, and they then they knacker defences. And if you leave them on there too long, they get knackered themselves. That's what we need to do on the maul. If you don't like box kicking, right? If you don't like kicking, start to love mauls. So if you're in your own 22 and you bring down a maul and you start marching it, even just a couple of metres into the opposition 10, then the person who is dropped back as the winger, if you're sort of coming in, he's got a decision to make. Does he come forward to defend the other winger? Or does he stay back, leaving a massive gap? Exeter tried this a few years ago with their running exits. Really, really effective. So that's how you use the different aspects.
Just on the interchanges, I do think, and I love it in French rugby because the massive men is just part of that's just one thing I love about French rugby. But I do think the interchanges and 8 replacements, I think that's not great because I would argue 8 replacements is more than you need. That's more than half a team. You don't need that many. I mean, maybe sit at the elite professional level. Maybe sit. You could do it like football. Sit as many people as you want on your bench, but you can only put 5 of them on.
I think either less players or bigger variance of players works for me. So if you only had 5 replacements, 2 backs, 3 forwards, that could be interesting. Again, you start to shrink the players a bit, but it's not. That's not a disaster.
You need more versatility.
I'm happy
from your players and from your front row. You need more versatility.
Yeah, that's.
And there's nothing to stop you from still having a giant man. But if you were going to have interchanges, I'd have 5 men, and one of those might be rather than it being positional, it might be more tactical. Like actually, we want a giant man as one of our options.
Yes, exactly.
Rather than
you've actually got to decide, is he worth having?
Yeah.
And then players or more players need to be conditioned to play 80 minutes that way.
Yeah.
Which would lead to reduced size as well.
Yeah.
But there again, I don't mind 8. I want as many tactical options for the coaches as possible. I'd start deregulating things.
I think it... and hey, look, South Africa have used that brilliantly. And they've been absolutely fantastic.
They've played the laws as written immensely.
I do think that 8 replacements, which is more than half a team, I think that massively... That grows the gap between the most resourced nations and the fewest.
Yeah,
it decreases the likelihood of upsets, and I would love to see more a Portugal manage to pull off a massive win. With 8 replacements, I don't think you can.
Yeah,
well, it'd certainly benefit the Premiership teams in Europe.
Yeah.
It'd be a huge benefit.
We could have a smaller squad, full stop.
Yeah. So there are advantages to it. I think just...
The reason there is 8 on the bench is because they've forced you to have 3 front row replacements.
Maybe, at the start of the game, the coaches get into a room and they roll a dice. And whatever that dice number is the amount of subs both teams are allowed. So 1. Sorry,
one
boys,
sub.
you've got one guy. Who is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I am a prop.
It's got to be
come off.
If you had to pick one replacement, who would you pick?
Oh, Gabriel Logre.
If you could pick a player.
That's a great shout.
Ben Earl.
Ben
Earl's a good shout. It's got to be someone who can pack down in the front row.
Quagga Smith would be pretty handy.
Hang
Dion
on.
Ferree.
Dion Ferree is one I was going to
Yeah, nice.
Or his mates who play 7. You'll know.
Honestly, if he wasn't already in the starting team, which he would be, DuPont would.
Yeah,
you could comfortably. Yeah, you'll do a job prop. Get in there, son.
Against Oxniche.
Yeah.
If I had Weenie Antonio as my tight head lock, I would then go for Ben Earl, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or you've got Ashley Johnson in the back row.
Yeah, something like that. So Sale have got some enormous man now playing second row. So they can afford to go for one guy. I mean, you're never going to get a game if you're a kid, if you're some sort of academy kid.
The other 2, so one that we've been talking about for ages, play on in uncontested lineouts. Play will continue if the ball is not thrown straight during uncontested lineouts.
We have been saying this on the podcast for about 10 years.
Yeah.
That's with no exaggeration.
And they've finally caught up with us.
I'm not sure if it's a good idea for the professional game, because standards matter. So at international, maybe you should be able to throw the ball.
No, because the incentive there is... Well, no, because it's the it's how referees referee. This is what I've never understood. It's not the case before. One of the big things that referees always talk about is the material effect. So they don't... If referees called every player that was in front of a back foot offside, you would have the whistle blown non-stop. Whereas actually they'll look, that has no effect. They're way over there. So the game's here, it has no material effect. And a not straight line out with the opposition not competing has no material effect on the match.
I was about to say something and I don't stand by it. No, this is a good law change because it forces lads into the... Or it forces the decision.
Yes.
So it is... So if you're defending a 5 metre line out, I would stay on the ground. I think I'd still stay on the ground. But you can't afford to stay on the ground anywhere else because a non-straight throw,
particularly on a windy day.
What happens?
Got to get up.
Wait a second. Wait a sneaky second. What happens, right, if you're conditioned to get to the line out really quick and you execute when the minimum number of opposition are in the line out, which is
3,
2. So you can't jump anyway because you've only got 2 in. Just throw it wherever you want. Well, why not? It wasn't contested.
Yeah. That speeds up play. That is something that World Rugby are trying to do.
Just throw it directly to my scrum off. Oh, why are you doing that? Well, where was the jump, sir?
So I think it's got to be...
Within the outside arm, it must be.
Yeah. It's still got to be caught by someone in the line out. Or at least...
Well,
by
does
the 12.
It say that? I mean,
this doesn't say it, but this is just a few words, not even, it's one sentence.
When you see the pack sprinting there. And also, what would it... So you would... Okay, so this is how you do it, in my mind. Everything's a 3-man line-out consisting of your 3 fittest players. Mm-hmm. You sprint to line-outs and you throw it straight to your scrum half. Done. Easy.
I think it would still have to be within the bounds of the...
Make it 2-man line-out.
It doesn't actually say it. And the final one isn't a law, it's a principle, and they don't go into how they're going to achieve this principle. I will read the precise words. It says, protection of the scrum half. enhanced protection for the scrum half at scrums, rucks and mauls to encourage fluid open play.
Who's asking for this? And can you think of a single example where you've gone, oh, I wish they'd protected the scrum half more?
More, because the scrum halves are already protected.
Around the rucks.
So it says scrums,
Just
rucks and
generally,
mauls.
Scrums, rucks, mauls.
But they don't say how they are going to do that.
Yeah, I'm happy with how the scrum halves are treated.
I don't think anyone's asking for this. And broadly speaking, I don't think it's going to change the game because I don't see how they're going to... I don't see what they're going to do that's going to make any difference to that.
Yeah, and interestingly, the other law amendments all have, because they've been running this trial, they all have some stats or some positive achievements from those. There isn't one on this protection of the scrum half, so
I've just got a thought about what they might be thinking of. The lineouts are a flipping mess defensively, where one player just binds onto one player and then they end up round the opposition side, and as long as they don't change their bind, they can stay there right by where the scrum half is, and then when the scrum half takes the ball,
they can grab him.
They can grab him. So
part of the, because if you bound into the
no, it's So if I grabbed onto you in a lineout from a legal position, and then we ended up. I sort of did span round, but I'd never changed my bind on you. But I span round, so I was then facing my own try line, but parallel with where your scrum half is and where the ball is. I can't grab I can't change my bind to grab the player or the ball. Yeah. But the second the scrum half takes the ball out of the, I can grab the 9. And that might be what they're thinking. That might be where that law could actually come in handy, because it is a bit of it's a joke. The way lineouts are.
Okay.
You mean mauls?
Mauls, sorry.
Yeah, I don't really mind it. I mean, it just means, I don't know.
It's really difficult to officiate that.
Yeah, and the officiating isn't always consistent because they literally take it. Literally. So I've played games, and I've seen games played where don't change your bind means don't change your position. If that makes sense. So positionally you're on the same place of the line out, and the players change around you, and then you grab the ball. And then they take it literally. If you're grabbed onto a player, you cannot change your bind on that player at all, which I think is a strange interpretation of it. The first one makes more sense to me.
So on those relatively rare occasions where someone does just scrag a 9 when they look to be in an odd position in a maul, I wouldn't be against the referee going, you can't do that. Just leave the 9 alone. Let the boys play.
Get him. So I think.
So the other thing is they are going to do a further trial in the elite game of the 20-minute red card.
Right. Okay.
Which
I've said it before, and so this is going to be one of those things I think that we'll be saying. We were saying this on the podcast 10 years ago when they finally do it. The only reason, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again because it's relevant to this. The only reason we have 2 yellow cards equals a red,
because football did it,
is because football did it. But football do not have a 10-minute sin bin. So having 2 yellows,
Rugby League that did that.
Having 2 yellows equal a red. Yeah, Rugby League did the sin bin. Having both the Rugby League 10-minute sin bin and 2 yellows equaling a red does not make any sense.
Agreed.
If it's a yellow card offence, it's a 10-minute offence. If it's a red card offence, you're off. And 3 yellow cards shouldn't mean you get a red card. Just because you're off for 30 minutes.
Totally agree with you.
So it just doesn't make sense.
Quick question for you. Who plays 15 for Roslyn Park?
Roslyn Park.
Ex-Premiership player.
So I'm going to guess
Played in
it's
Sale FC this week.
Ooh, so was he playing against Tom Brady? The 2 ex-Premiership.
Yes.
15s.
Club captain Tom Brady, thank you. And committee member Tom Brady.
Let me think. I'm just
Roslyn Park. Nev Edwards.
Not Nev Edwards. Previously considered one of the fastest men in the Premiership.
Matt Jess.
Matt Jess? No, it's not Matt Jess.
He's coached down at Cornish Pirates, I think.
Fastest players in the Premiership.
Marlon Yard.
Thank goodness it's not Marlon Yard.
Marlon Yard. Didn't Marlon Yard go to France?
I'll give you a clue. He played for Benetton.
Played for Benetton. Louis Liner.
That'd be... No.
Played for Benetton.
He's from the Midlands. He once played either 10 or 12. He might have even played at Leicester Tigers, but that's not where he made his name.
From the Midlands, fastest player, Paul Sampson.
Nope. And he's not 50.
Not 50?
Yeah, because Paul Sampson's about 50.
Yeah, he is about 50. I mean, if he's playing for Roslyn Park, he can at most be about 34 or 35, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Fastest players in the Premiership.
Might have even been Premiership's top try scorer.
For a season.
Oh, Varndell.
No.
Oh, that's a good shout.
Further clue.
He didn't play at Benetton.
He wasn't particularly well. He wasn't particularly well rated by a coach that we have met. Has moved on after being the top try scorer.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my God.
Who didn't Guzzy rate? Oh. Charlie Matthews. No, not Charlie Matthews. Charlie, that guy, the blonde Charlie Walker. Yeah, the blonde-haired winger for Quins.
Yes.
Now plays 15 for Roslyn Park.
Wow. God, he can't be... I bet he's not even 30.
No. It's amazing how that career unravelled.
Yeah.
He was absolutely...
No, he will be way better off than most other 29, 30, whatever he is.
He's 31 now.
Okay, 31. He will be better off than most 31-year-old squad playing Premiership players because he will be connected at Roslyn Park. He'll be earning a few £100 for Roslyn Park, but he'll be playing in this. He'll be working in the city.
Hope so. Hope he's making lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They're a ridiculously talented player who, just sort of faded away. Right, and it was ready. It was all there for the taking.
I do like that league, national one.
It's a good league, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you've got a bit of time, you want to go to Sale FC, you can always get a really good game there.
I've been to Richmond on a Friday night game, and that's some of their games they do under the lights are awesome. They're doing pretty well, I think, as well. Richmond, 31 all draw against Dings Crusaders. In the weekend just gone.
Yeah. So back to the Premiership.
Yes.
Did anyone see Sale Newcastle?
I did.
What did
You were there.
You went there?
No, you were there.
I was
Sorry,
there, yeah.
I was watching on TV.
So I watched the first half and then I went home. I took my daughter there. It was
I got about 60 minutes in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm
not
going to get anything.
Hold on a minute. No. There's something else I wanted to say while we're in that little detour.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes.
What was this Telegraph article you told me about?
Do you know, we'll save it for Patreon because I'll tell you why. I'm going to have to read it again. But effectively...
You weren't the only person that mentioned it. There was some Telegraph article mentioning Bristol and their song, I gather. That's
right, yeah. So some weak man has decided to write about other men singing. He's basically some... Do you know one of those sports nerd writers? You know, like the pencil arm guys? The pencil arm guys that like to use pencils to, pen their articles. The sort of guy that wears, like an NFL hat, a proper nerd. And he's saying that rugby needs to represent itself, and effectively the Bristol Bears song is an example of something which is all wrong with rugby, without knowing the first thing about rugby.
Tom Gibbs is the senior sports writer.
Senior
sports writer for the Daily Telegraph, and his title of his article, again, he probably doesn't write the title, but nonetheless, stench of testosterone as constant rugby victory songs leave a bad smell.
Stop. Stench of testosterone.
Yeah.
It kind of tells you where this guy is coming from. Yeah. And also...
Because what's wrong with testosterone? Why is it a stench? Why not a...
Delicious testosterone leads to songs, it should say, right? Can I just point out as well, he's talking about rugby. Like, how do you think you play this game? Like, the guy has no clue. He has no clue.
Anyway, Bristol responded brilliantly by posting their victory song after their great win with just the quote, "Oh, the stench." Video of their song Blackbird.
Like, I'm guessing the guy's never been part of any team. Maybe a paddle team or something like that. Maybe. But...
Oh, such toxic masculinity on the podcast right now.
I've got a great song for you.
Sorry, I should have put a trigger warning before playing this song.
Listen to this.
Oh, this is incredible, actually.
You guys have already heard it?
Yeah.
Go on, I have heard this, go on.
Shall I play it?
Play it.
Yeah, do it.
So this is from my dear friends at West Park St Helens, okay? So do you want the background to it? Because it probably makes more sense.
Yes, please.
So the background to this is West Park had selected a lad because one of their boys was injured, or no, ill. Got him on standby. The day before the game, they told this lad, Fletch is his name, that he was no longer needed. So he sent the coach a voice note, and the coach was thinking, coach being Paul Arnold, of course, legendary Northwest hero Paul Arnold.
Oh God, he's gonna absolutely roast me for stitching him up here.
Thinking it's going to be like a diatribe, like, why have you dropped me? What have you done? This is what was sent by the dropped player. This is real. Oh, hang on. So this is actually real.
Daniel Fletcher's fall. Daniel Fletcher, he was ready to rise. West Park Rugby Union, his big prize. Josh was sick, so they called his name. He stepped up strong, ready for the game. Trained so hard, gave his all for the team. For a moment, he was living that rugby dream. But then Josh got better, and things turned cold. Daniel's heart broke as the story was told. Used and abused, left in the dust. Daniel gave his all, but who could he trust? They dropped him down when Josh could play. Now he's cast aside, thrown away. For the union dance, he used his name.
So I think from now on,
Very good.
we're going to keep a Fletcher watch to see if this guy ever does get in the
Come on, Josh.
first team. And when he
One back
does,
to Fletcher.
maybe we give him a call.
While we're playing
get him on
songs
the
as well,
podcast.
I don't understand. I can't remember what the conversation was that led to this. But one of the guys on our EggChasers RFC WhatsApp group sent this earlier today. But it was, he's remixed something from last week's show.
Oh no!
It's me. Don't worry, not you.
Thank God.
Well, I can't play this right now. What are you talking about?
Was this on the group?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
It's in as a very retro MP3 file.
Yeah. Just once. There we go. Unfortunately, the application temporary. Oh, fuck. What?
What? Huh?
Are you talking about?
Was it before or after I sent mine?
Let's see if I can.
Wings fall before they fall off. When they fall off, they'll go like.
I don't know when I did that.
Oh, the rings! The rings, isn't it?
What was it? What rings?
The replay on the rings.
Replay on the rings?
Yeah, we were talking about replays, and you were saying that on like Ninja Warrior, when they fall off the rings.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
That's right, yes. Korean stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good.
Good.
Just before we get back into
Sale Newcastle.
non-serious rugby, let's talk about serious rugby. Have you had any replies from the podcast from last week as to the plight of the Broughton Park under-17s?
Yeah, lots of people offering suggestions, saying that their union is just as obstinate and unhelpful in trying to get games ahead, although some are actually very, very... I heard from someone who runs a Colts team in Bristol.
Okay.
So the sort of Gloucestershire union, and actually, this is one thing I do want to mention out of this. There were lots of stuff, and the team is still there and hanging in. And thank you for all the suggestions and support. That's great. The one thing that came out of this was a conversation I had with someone who runs a Colts team in Bristol. And in Bristol, bearing in mind I've also been talking about a load of the lads that are in my team, inner city kids, don't play rugby at school, play through the club, and are brilliant to the point they've gone and been signed by rugby league clubs, which only came about after the fact. They were completely overlooked for any sort of rugby union pathways. In Bristol, they have a specific representative team for state school kids.
Do they?
Yes.
That's cool.
As a way to catch a load of these brilliant kids that aren't in Colstons and all these big schools.
I'm being deployed back from TOC H to Lancashire meetings, so I will relay that.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I can't remember what they call it, but I think it might just be Bristol schools, but it's specifically state schools.
That's a great idea.
And it's working really well in Bristol.
That's good.
Trying to find more Ellis Genges.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Newcastle Sale.
Yeah. I gave up, 50 or 60 minutes.
I'm going to be honest, I don't care.
Well, I thought I'd just give it the time of day because...
No, I'm not saying don't talk about it. I'm saying I don't care.
Yeah, I was there, and I just...
How many people were there?
Not many. It was nice, though. It is nice that you can just take people that otherwise wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It was actually quite a good, fun game to attend. Aaron Reid was scoring for fun in the first 20 minutes.
And then he got injured.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything I want to say about Newcastle, because we know everything we need to know about this Sale team. I would just say, Jamie, is it Balmain? Or no, Blamire.
Yeah.
He is legit. Like,
he's a
real player.
Yeah.
And I really like, is it Stewart, the little scrum half that they've got?
It is Stewart.
He'll be a good pickup for someone. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to say this, and he's going to be a 33-year-old New Zealander who's just come from Japan. But I don't know who he is. I've not seen him before. But I think he'll be a decent Premiership player.
That might be the conversation. Is like who's actually got. Who would you take from the Newcastle team? Because
the whole front row are okay.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Callum Chick, he deserves it better than he's getting.
Recently, I don't know if it's because he's their sole carrier and is easy to target. Gordon has done well for them since he's shown up. If that's the name of this, is that the name of the 7? Gordon? Doesn't really matter.
Radwan must be.
But I think he's missed the boat somewhat.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, he is a speedster who was overshadowed by the Argentine guys, and then I don't know if he's still as valuable as he was like 3 years ago. The point I was going to make about Chick is the last few weeks, whether it's because he's the sole focus of attention for the carrying of Newcastle, he's been smashed physically, absolutely smashed.
He has. He's had a tough few games, because he has to carry so much.
I reckon Blamire, Chick, Radwan, and who's the young lad, Redshaw.
Redshaw's all right.
Sam Stewart.
Sam Stewart,
Newcastle Falcons. Played England under 16s, 18s, and 20s. 14 years ago.
How old is he?
Born in 1991. He's 33.
So where's he been? Why do I not know him?
He's played a bit of Blaydon. He grew up in Cheltenham. Don't know much more than that.
Well.
No, he's part of Harlequins Academy before joining Richmond. Played for Blaydon a couple of seasons ago.
He's in good shape. He's in really bloody good shape. But it's a desperate situation, isn't it, when you've got an unknown... It's one thing having an unknown 21-year-old.
Yes.
It's a different thing altogether having an unknown 33-year-old at scrum half. But he's in good shape and he plays well. So
he is, yes.
And there you go.
It's such a shame because in a 10-team league, the Premiership is great, but it's just not good. And it's even worse. It would be fine if they weren't playing, because every now and again there'll be a team that is just not playing very well, losing loads of games. We've seen that in France with Montpellier and all the rest of it. But it's everything, isn't it? It's they're trying so hard. They cannot get a crowd and they cannot get a team out on the park.
Yeah.
It's desperate.
Yep.
Well, they just need money. I mean, they just need money, and then they don't have it, and nobody will want to replace them, and no one wants to buy Newcastle. So you combine all those factors, because the great evil here was the CVC deal. Like, I'll say it over and over again to whoever will listen. That's why Newcastle cannot raise any more money. And the biggest danger for Newcastle and for the RFU is that family who funds it, whatever they're called again, what are they called? Come back to me. If they walk away, no one is picking up the bill for Newcastle. That is it. It's done. And it's same for every other team in the league. As soon as the funders walk away, nobody else is stepping in, because CVC has ruined the whole lot.
No. The Premiership owners cannot complain now because they signed off the CVC deal, saying it was going to be a land of milk and honey afterwards. CVC have arguably done a great job, because they're going to get their money back.
CVC have behaved in a rational manner.
Yes,
and it's not.
They've taken advantage of
stupid people.
Stupid business. Well, and they're not stupid people. This is why I can't believe they did the deal they did, which we said from day one.
Well, I wonder if there was an element of some Premiership owners, because you've got to remember it was done before COVID. Some Premiership owners thinking, right, we sell this to CVC, we have 20 million quid, which is what they had to market the game, which is a nice enough budget, and then we get out of here, right? We pay off all of our directors' loans, we do bits and pieces, The game gets marketed, and then we sell it when it's at the height of its powers. COVID comes, takes away everything else that they've got, and now we're left with this.
Yeah,
so
fair.
you take it was a risk. They took a risk, and by the way, if they hadn't have sold, and they hadn't marketed, and it hadn't have worked. And maybe it did work. Maybe they're 10% more successful than they are now. They're still in a hole because no one's going to want to buy these clubs.
The one thing that I never understood, and I won't take us off down that too much, but the one thing I never understood with that is, if that was the case, they went, what we just need is some money to market it, and then we'll have the products that we always dreamed of. If that was true, why wouldn't you borrow the money or find the money or invest the money? Because then you're going to find this.
They did think they were getting the money and the expertise.
Yeah, that's the biggest. I mean, that's the hilarious part.
That was the sales pitch, wasn't it, from CVC? Yeah. We will grow this. We will sell.
Clearly, it wasn't in writing. There was nothing. There was no metrics.
Also,
there was no measurement or any performance-related element to that. Which, it
was loose enough.
It was.
Now that does. So there was an interview this week. It links onto. You might have seen this. There was an interview with Simon Massey-Taylor.
Oh, he actually speaks.
He does, and he was speaking about the prospective return of Wasps, Worcester and London Irish, because there is a tender process to join the expanding championship. So a championship is going to 14 clubs, and those 3 clubs are being invited.
Hold on. What about the National 1 clubs that earn promotion by finishing top of that table?
Yeah, don't worry about those, Tim.
Hang on, Tim. Way over your skis here, mate.
Yeah, don't worry about those. So, and the quote from Simon Massey-Taylor is, "This is great for rugby and good for the Premiership to get those 3 brands."
I don't see it myself.
I don't. The point that he does make, which I don't hate this point, but this is a horrible way to do it, is the more rugby brands there are in the country, the better it is for the sport. Those are 3 big brands, but this is the wrong way of going about it.
Oh, look, if Juventus and Rangers can survive in the 4th tier of their respective league, so can Wasps. And that's what the rules say. Off you go.
Oh, yeah, but 7th tier and 10th tier.
This is one where I can go. Logically, I can agree with everything Simon Massey-Taylor just said. I can also just say it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing he does say, to his credit, is the main criteria before doing that is that they need to pay off their rugby creditors. And
so how do you pay off businesses which have already gone bust because you didn't pay them?
Well, not only that.
Well, so this is definition of rugby creditors. So it does include the players. It might. I don't know.
I know an agent. Yeah. He's in the hole for about 100 grand from Wasps.
Yeah, it probably does include agents, but they need to pay off the players. But you're quite right. That doesn't include non-rugby creditors. So if there are other small family business or small businesses or any business of any side...
Well, hang on, just on this. This is a bit which I disagree with, actually. I don't think they should have to pay off their creditors. Because whatever comes next... Like, say if I set up a business now and I call it JB Rugby Trading, and I happen to go out and just buy the Wasps brand for 30k. The 30k which I use to buy that brand then goes to the creditors. Right? If I want to launch a rugby team called Wasps, I don't think I should be on the hook to pay off the remaining creditors. And as I understand it, that's basically what's happening here. So why should the new owner need to pay off those creditors?
So it's a different standard to normal insolvency proceedings.
Is it?
Because normal insolvency proceedings would be dealt with via legislation, via HMRC. Doing it via that way, there are well-tried hierarchies for who gets paid off when you go through normal insolvency proceedings. This is not that.
Of course it's not,
because this is to enter back into the rugby league.
So what this is about is the fact that Richmond, London Scottish, London Welsh, and many others had to go to the very bottom of the pyramid and work their way all the way back up. And so what I dislike, so I don't necessarily disagree with what Simon Massey-Taylor says. It would be, you could argue it would be good for the Premiership owners, let's say.
Yeah, it would. It could be good for the game if it's done right. If this doesn't,
but this is just optics. I'm sorry. I will just finish my point. What I think is just happening so much in rugby, particularly English rugby, is no one's being transparent about what they actually want to do. If they said honestly what they want to do, then Simon Massey-Taylor would stand up there and go, "We want Wasps and and London Irish. We want them back in a Premiership, and then we want to shut the door on everybody else. And that's what we're doing. At least I wouldn't agree with it, but I would respect the transparency. But I know that that's what they all want to do, and yet they're trying to do it in such a way as, oh no, well, that's not what we're doing. When it's clear that that's what they're doing.
I wonder if it's like a step removed. I wonder if anyone does know what they want to do. I mean, it sounds to me like nobody has a clue exactly what they want.
Maybe.
So they're all pulling in different directions. Why are these brands so important? That's what I'd ask. Like, why is it you want Wasps back? I mean, of course, there is some value, particularly to Wasps, more than anyone else.
There's historic value to Wasps. There's historic value to London Irish.
But let's just interrogate the claim. Is it better for the Premiership? Well, the Premiership's smaller, so it needs less players, which means it can play more per player, which means they can have higher quality squads.
They need more games to be sustainable as home grounds.
That's the problem.
I don't know if that's true.
It is. Because they're setting up friendlies.
They are, and that's not a bad thing. No,
but it's not. It's not
the
the
same. You can
same.
play friendlies with kids.
Well, as we've discussed before, so I won't go over it on previous podcasts. We've got 2 more rounds of the Premiership, and then the Premiership shuts up shop for a month.
Yeah, that's a bigger problem, right?
They play one game in 7 weeks.
But say if they have their games back, right, their home games, and they start playing again during the Six Nations, well, then that's no good to anyone either. So my view on this is, it says they benefit the Premiership owners. Well, the Premiership owners don't have enough money as it is. If you bring in more teams, you need more players. So you either have to pay your existing players less, which obviously will lead to a bigger drain of players, or you increase the salary cap with money you don't have for more players. And you're probably going to have to spend more again, because we're getting quite used to a competitive league with really good 15s in it. You won't have those 15s. The fact that Worcester and Wasps went, and it was probably them going. If them going was the best thing for the Premiership, which I think it probably was, how is them coming back the best thing for the Premiership owners?
At the same time.
Yeah. Simultaneously, all those players distributed through the league has been wonderful for the standard. But them coming back is also wonderful. Simon Massey-Taylor hasn't thought this through. Unless
they actually want a really good second tier, which there's no evidence to say they've...
No, because the funding's been slashed.
But if that was part of the thinking, I would probably agree with that. And again, I would look across the channel to France. And on Friday night, I didn't watch Sale Newcastle. I watched Brive.
More fool you.
And there was 15,000 people at Brive again for the second home game in a row.
Yeah,
only because Newcastle,
which would be 4 or 5 times more people than there were at Sale.
Only because Sale Newcastle's not televised.
The only ground in the Premiership where there were more people than at Brive
was Tigers.
Yeah, for the derby. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the classic JB scoreline in the Pro Dida?
Well,
was there a 6-3 or something?
Not quite a 6-3, but very, very close.
9-6.
6-all.
What? That's awesome.
6-all in... I'll pronounce this horribly. Soyo Angoulême.
Soyo Angoulême. This is Johnny May's team. Against Provence, which is Jules Plisson's team. By the way, Thursday night, this coming week, it's Provence versus Brive.
Ooh.
Plisson versus Courtney Laws.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I wonder if they'll be treating that like the Tuolangi Ashton incident. Because I would be.
In England, they would be. In France, I'm not sure it's celebrated that much. You know.
And was it a France game or was it a European game?
No, it was France game.
It was England, France, Six Nations.
Oh, I know who it was. It was little scrum half who got...
Yeah, please on.
No. It was... Who's the tiny... Morgan Parra.
Oh, that's a different one. That was Northampton.
No, we're talking about the police on.
No.
But
so there is a Champions. There was a Heineken Cup game where Laws absolutely wiped out.
Parra.
It was Parra.
And there was a third incident.
Parra.
Morgan Parra got smashed
absolutely smoked him.
Yeah.
And there was a third time where this time Laws wasn't bullying poor defenceless halfbacks, but went straight into Bastero on the 5 metre line.
Oh,
that was a great hit.
I do remember.
Paulie just hates the French.
Well, I do remember him absolutely smashing England fly half and Saracens legend Charlie Hodgson a couple of times in one game.
Don't remember that one.
That's a long time ago, obviously, because it was Charlie Hodgson playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's indiscriminate with his violence.
An equal opportunities punisher.
Exactly. Be it a French scrum half, an English fly half, doesn't matter.
So I think we spoke about
That'll be cool.
All the games. Is there any game we've not spoken about?
Well, I didn't really. I probably took you off the track. If there's anything specific you wanted to say about Sale or Newcastle, then
just that I was there and people played rugby.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. Rugby was the winner,
correct.
and lots of kids were present watching it.
And there was Twindaloo in the Sale back row.
We should talk, not a game that I've seen in any detail, but the return of Antoine Dupont. We should talk about that.
Please do.
Because he came on for the second half in Toulouse's hammering of Clermont, and in his first 12 minutes on the pitch, he scored a hat-trick. which, having not played since the Olympics, not played for 3 months, to return in 12 minutes, score a hat-trick, it means that...
He's back, is he?
He is back. He is only the second best player in the world this weekend because Ibitoye scored a 8-minute hat-trick. So he's second only to Ibitoye.
Yeah, that's quite remarkable. Quite good. It's quite good. It's quite good. Although, to be fair, Ibitoye did spend a lot of time doing nothing compared to Dupont.
Well, so did Dupont. Thomas
sat on the bench
for 50 minutes and then immediate hat-trick. We should also mention my beloved, beautiful Bordeaux, who destroyed Perpignan 66-12.
And my beloved Bayonne, who wrecked Ronan O'Gara's Saturday 37-7.
Yeah, that is pretty remarkable.
I mean, there are a few lads missing, but nevertheless, not that many actually.
No, there's a few.
I think they did send their bin juice to Biarritz.
It's not full bin juice.
No, that's a pretty good team, I'd say.
It's
Gregory Aldrit.
Jordan Dancy,
Hastoy.
Oh no, I take it back. I take it back. Look again.
Yeah, they're missing a few people. Skelton came off the bench for the second half, so it's not a total.
That Dance and Skelton on the bench. No, it's a pretty good team.
Yes.
Did Manu play? He did. Did he score?
He did not.
And Alex Moon. It's quite English
Manu
taste.
against Jonathan Donty. That's a matchup.
It used to be, not anymore. Once upon a time, that would have been interesting. Yeah. Right, so can we move on from Premiership, do some predictions?
Yeah, let's do some predictions. So, next weekend's fixtures. Friday night, 2 games. Newcastle host Exeter Chiefs. The 2 winless,
yep.
unwinningest teams in the league. And Exeter are going to win that.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to the Exeter reset. I'm rooting for Exeter to do well. I always do.
Absolutely same. I just can't. I think they're a bit off. I think they're genuinely they have to get a good, experienced halfback combination in there. That's my view. And then they just need all of their many highly talented but inexperienced kids need another year of rugby under their belt.
There's some absolute belters.
The other Friday night game, I'm just thinking Northampton didn't match up well against Leicester because they were forward-orientated power.
Exactly what I'm thinking.
And Sale are very much in that mould.
Yep.
The best thing about Sale at the moment is just how well... I mean, I know I mock Alex Sanderson's nonsense a lot.
His emotional side.
Yeah, they are well coached.
They are well coached.
They are so well coached. Like, they're not flashy. Oh, that's the only thing I was going to say. Rob Dupree, the much maligned Rob Dupree by myself, who looked incredibly smooth at 10. Some of his passing was brilliant, but mind you, maybe wasn't an pressure.
He did. He's the last 2 seasons. He's been excellent. I think last season, the first half of last season, when George Ford was World Cup and then coming back, he was the best.
Do you know who might be the new Rob Dupree?
Ooh, Lazowski.
Ooh, good, but no. Ollie Hassel-Collins. Because every time the ball goes near that boy, disasters happen. Like, he drops the ball. He was in the vicinity for 3 absolute disasters for Tigers this week. Nothing seems to go right for him. And I know he's a good player.
He is.
But nothing is going right for him
at
the moment. So he might be in contention for this year's Rob Dupree Award.
Most improved player. Oh no, worse.
Talented player that things go wrong for.
Yes. Yeah. So Saints versus Sale at Franklin's Gardens.
That's close. That if it was at Sale win. I'm gonna edge for Saints.
I'm going to go for a second away win.
Which edging is now is a word that means I've said it before, and people have a giggle on the podcast that you said edging for Tom Curry. I'm edging for Saints.
Edging for Saints. On the Saturday, we have the 3:00 is Bristol hosting Saracens.
Can't wait for this one.
That's
a belter.
That will be interesting.
Yeah, that is. That's a great game.
Give me Bristol.
Reluctantly. I want Sarries to win. I want Sarries to do well for some reason.
And then the other game is belter as well. Harlequins hosting Bath.
Who's at home in that one? Bristol.
So Bristol at home to Saracens, which give me the home win.
Yeah, I'm going for home win.
And then Harlequins at home to Bath. Ooh. The two best fly halves in the league. Best paid fly halves in the league. With an honourable mention to Andre Pollard, double World Cup winner, and George Ford. So two of the top four.
Two of the better ones.
Two of the better fly halves in the league. And
I think this is a massive test for both teams because it's one of those things it's one of those games where do you want to be taken seriously or not? So I think Bath really want to be looked at as favourites and as a powerhouse of the league. I think they think it's their year. They need to win this. And I think they probably will win it for that reason.
I think Bath will. I'm looking at the team they put out this weekend, and I think they had their England guys on the bench, didn't they?
They had a few.
Or not involved.
Yeah.
Ted Hill at lock.
Yeah, there's some strange selections. That is sure.
Barbaroux's on the bench. Lawrence played. They did some rotation.
Underhill, Ewells and Stewart all on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean,
Stewart on the bench is...
Mind you, Stewart on the bench is fine because he's behind Thomas Dutoit.
Yeah, that's normal.
And if Saracens struggle to kick, and let's just say your theory on this is right, Tim, Saracens might have won that with two world-class halfbacks that can move the ball around the field. Spencer Russell can do that.
Yep.
So but I just think Lee Halfpenny will diffuse anything.
I'm going to go Bath.
I'm going to go Bath. I'm going for several away wins. 3 out of 4 away wins so far. And the Sunday game, I am going for a home win.
Definitely.
I think that's going to be a fairly large win, that.
Leicester Tigers versus Gloucester. Well, Leicester, they play almost like South Africa in 2019 World Cup, apart from the final, where they don't win by much because they play such an attritional style of rugby. But they are going to win. Do
you know what the biggest problem with Gloucester is? Did Gloucester go ahead this week?
They did. They were winning at half-time.
Yeah, that sounds about like Gloucester. The most worrying thing about Gloucester is it seems that scoring gives them no confidence. And I mean that, so they must know they're rubbish in defence. Like, there must be doing a feeling where you're going to lose inevitably. So they beat Bristol, which was great. And that's their only win, I think. But in every other game, they've managed to put points on the board early doors. And then whoever they're playing seems to adjust.
Well, to your point, Gloucester, they're 8th in the league. They've only won one game. They have scored the third most points for. Only Bath and Bristol have scored more points in their favour.
And if Thomas Williams has got another try, he must be on 4 tries at least.
Probably, yeah.
At least 4 tries from scrum half. So he's monumentally important.
But against, so their third highest 4 in points against, they are by far the worst. They have conceded 25 more points than even Newcastle Falcons. So
that's impressive.
It is. So they are defence optional is a way of describing Gloucester.
And you know what? Gloucester strike me as a team that are only capable of being good at one thing at any one time. So a few years ago, they were really good at mauling. Let's just throw that away. We'll just be really good at 20-minute attack now.
Yeah.
I don't know what the next fad is that they're going to have there. Like, Danny Cipriani shows up. We're good at certain patterns for a while.
Yeah. Certain patterns that include a miss 3 out to Ollie Thorley.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to be good at next week, but everything else will be bad.
And they are going to lose.
I do think they're coming around to a phase where they might be good at scrum time again. But God knows what they'll have to give up to do that.
There you go. And I've just seen that on Sunday night, my beloved Bordeaux are travelling to La Rochelle.
On Sunday night, I'll be calling in from Venice.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
My beloved
Check
Bayonne
you.
host Owen Farrell's Wrestling 92.
Oh,
Venice.
you're going to be
going to see Benetton then?
Benetton or are they Venice?
Just up the road.
Yeah.
Are they?
But they are playing.
they?
They're playing away at Dragons next weekend.
I'll give that a miss. I'll 100%.
You'll be able to watch. You'll be able to find a nice sports bar in Venice.
Yeah,
To watch Benetton smash the Dragons.
that'd be nice.
That will be nice. You'd love that.
Yeah, I would actually.
Just before we go, like little culture corner segment. Anything you're watching or enjoying or reading or listening to?
Yeah,
Or...
I have bought a book called More and More and More, which is why the energy transition will never happen. I'm really enjoying that. And what else have I read? I've started reading something else.
Just on that, I went down to the field and the barn that I have in Shropshire.
Your land, because you're landed gentry now.
Yeah, well, to go and measure steel widths and shit like that.
To build
is
your
what I was
gun
up
cabinet.
to. Yeah.
That's my job.
Yeah. What would you suggest for a home, a minimum steel strength for a single home?
I would get someone who knows stuff
okay,
about that. I would not take recommendations from me.
No, fine.
This is like, right, when you're doing stuff like this, sometimes cost isn't that important. Like, when you're choosing a tattoo, don't choose the cheapest artist. If you're going to put steel in your house, I would just...
No, it's more about, are the steels that I have going to be sufficient? Going to be sufficient to...
Well, what are you going to do? A gym? Somebody going to... Lifting platform.
8 lifting platforms
exactly.
on the second floor.
Oh, my God.
No, I was going to say, I was driving through the first bit of North Wales before hanging down on the A55 or whatever it is, A59, down towards Shropshire. I swear those windmills are just demoralisation of the populace.
I like the windmills.
I find them so depressing to look at.
The offshore ones.
Onshores.
No, these are the onshores.
The ones by Stanlow.
The one near Runcorn,
Like
that way.
Oswestry, around that part of the world.
I just feel it feels dystopian and bleak looking at those things.
Do you know, I don't mind seeing big bits of it infrastructure. Like, they're no more bleak than the Stanlow oil refinery, which I think is beautiful, actually.
It depends where they
gas
are.
power station and all the rest of it.
If they're somewhere that is not particularly attractive, I really don't mind, because it's infrastructure.
It's like I love driving around Trafford Park.
When you go out to the east, sort of, I'm trying to think, Oldham way, that way.
Yeah.
There are some up on the hills. They're beautiful hills, just blighted. You've just ruined some amazing views.
They're not that beautiful hills. They're the
I
brown
agree with
moor,
Phil.
the
It's like,
flat.
people say the beautiful Yorkshire moors.
No, it's not. Where was it? I was going towards
Saddleworth.
So the North Yorkshire moors or the Yorkshire Dales,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see them around there because they are beautiful
Gorgeous,
areas.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely
like the
gorgeous.
Cotswolds or somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
or the middle of the Lake District.
Describing the way up to Halifax.
No, I'm trying to think of where I was. Anyway,
Yeah,
it doesn't
Saddleworth
matter.
moors are not particularly attractive.
They are definition of bleak. They're like, they're awful.
Yeah, I just feel cold thinking about them.
No, it was on the way to that place that you described as would be the middle of something bridge.
Hebden Bridge.
Hebden Bridge. It was
Hebden
driving
Bridge
to
actually
Hebden Bridge.
is quite pretty.
Anyway,
Hebden Bridge is cool.
so more. That energy transition will never happen. Read that book and understand why.
Yeah, because, well, I won't go into it, but yeah, it just won't
Philip?
happen.
I'm just on the last chapter of The Power of Geography by, I want to say, Tim Marshall, which is quite cool. Written a couple of years ago, but looking at why certain countries and areas have geographical advantages and disadvantages.
Interesting.
It's cool. Good book.
Probably inadvertently, that would be teaching you how and why wars have been fought.
There is definitely a bit of that.
Is there a lot of why African continents don't have density of cities?
There's not much on that, but they do cover... He has a chapter on Ethiopia and a chapter on the Sahel. Sahel? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Basically, the strip of land underneath the Sahara, which France has a vested interest in because of their historic colonies and because of the African franc.
Yep.
So yeah,
which they still print in France, by the way,
and ship out to Africa.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good book.
I've not been reading anything, but I'll tell you what I listened to again because I recommended it to a friend. I went and listened to it again, and I'd forgotten loads of the stuff in it. That Marta made Jeffrey Epstein 5.5 hour.
It is incredible. He's now
It's an amazing listen.
It is an amazing lesson.
It's an amazing.
Of course, he's persona non grata now, isn't he? Because he did an interview with Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson, yeah.
Which I listened to, and none of what was purported to.
You're not allowed to talk to Tucker Carlson and be allowed in polite society, JB. You need to learn the rules.
Representation of what was said on that.
Yeah, it was.
Isn't surprising.
But the guy behind Martin Made, he did this. Yeah, he's done this. The Jeffrey Epstein is 5.5 hours. It's like 5 parts or 4 parts.
It's absolutely incredible.
Put into one piece. And it is incredible. And I've just got to the bit where he's just gone through to explain the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. He goes back into all of the British scandals.
Yes, they're amazing.
Which are like, oh my God, I'd forgotten all that happened.
I never knew half it did happen.
No, we didn't know half it did happen. I didn't know about the Belgian one.
That's so horrific.
The Detroit. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, there's lots of amazing things in our world. There's some very, very dark things, and if you can cope with it, I would go and listen to that because it is
dark.
It is dark and great. Incredible. Better than any other murder mystery type podcast you listen to. This is like. Yeah.
I might listen to that again, actually. I really need some more dark thoughts. So.
Right then.
On listening, I will say, we've all recommended this before, I'm certain, but Acquired, I listened, I think on Ollie Poole's recommendation, to the Visa one, which I didn't really know.
I've listened to that one.
I didn't know much about Visa at all. I see it on my cards.
They sponsor Argentina rugby team.
They sponsor the Olympics for a long period of time. But it's a fascinating episode.
Is it as fascinating as the Starbucks one? Have you listened to that?
Yeah, I've listened to Starbucks. Starbucks is really good.
Have you listened to Starbucks one?
No.
It leaves me... I mean, there's 3 hours with Howard Schultz at least, right? And it leaves me with more questions than answers, to put it mildly. He just breezes past the fact that, we just built this massive coffee chain. Okay, yeah, cool. And I just was playing basketball, and the guy I played basketball with happens to work with... the chief lizard person, who would be Bill Gates, his dad.
Bill Gates Sr.
Who seems to also be a lizard person. And for absolutely no explanation whatsoever, gets involved with Howard Schultz through a third party. So the story is literally this wild, okay? Howard Schultz is playing basketball. He tells up his plight to a guy who he's playing basketball with, and his plight is he wants to make a bid for Starbucks, but there's somebody who's made a bigger bid for...
But this is when Starbucks is just like a little coffee roaster. They're just branching out, and he wants to run and expand it.
You got a Charlton, you got a Didsbury, Fallowfield Town, and say Sale, right? It's that sort of business, maybe a bit bigger. I don't know, right? This guy who plays basketball with inexplicably brings us up to the chief lizard person's dad, right? Who then inexplicably gives Howard Schultz a call, and then further inexplicably goes round to the competitor's office and says, you will not do this.
Yeah, like threatens him. And then Howard Schultz buys Starbucks. I mean, and I have no further questions.
It's completely legitimate. That sounds like the sort of thing a billionaire would do with their spare time.
Yeah, doesn't it just?
So he was a partner at the most powerful law firm in Seattle at that time, Bill Gates Sr.
I wonder if there's any overlap with the Martin Made podcast.
I have no idea. And then it just happens to turn into this £1 billion coffee chain. Just because they were lucky. I mean, it makes no sense to me. And that story was told so innocently. And everyone, you can just hear the two hosts lapping it up. I was like, well, stop. How did this happen? Like, I know loads of solicitors. And I'd say I'm quite good friends with some of them. Not one of them would go round to a random competitor who they don't know on behalf of a business that they don't represent to say, you will stop this right now.
Well, you did have a barrister contact you purporting to be representing someone that he ended up not being.
King's Counsel.
Yeah, do you know, I really wish that I dragged it. I really wish I pursued that. I should have, really. Are you questioning my probity? Yes, it seems I am.
Right,
anyway,
there you go.
Yes.
And The Bear. Watch The Bear.
The Bear, yeah, I need to watch. It's Disney Plus, though, isn't it?
Is it not Netflix?
Don't think so. I think it's Disney Plus.
No.
Yeah.
I'll live on.
I am going to watch. I've finished Tour de France Unchained, which is superb.
Oh, okay.
And I am going to watch with Claire, Mr. McMahon.
I want to watch that.
That's what I've seen.
Yes.
Yeah, now I remember.
I want to watch that.
I am going to watch that.
Yeah, the only problem I'd say with that is it's a little bit too broad. So it's very... It spans these massive periods of time, and it's very sort of thematic, Whereas I really want to know like the nitty gritty of how
season by season on the
like how did he write these contracts? Like there are some amazing stories about Vince McMahon and the things that he's done business wise, which are either underhand or just not even underhand, just absolutely
very
casual.
good, but ultimately very good business.
Yeah, and that's what I want to know. And it's a little bit too kind of, I don't know, it's the WWE is such a massive organisation. It's been around for so long and so successful and so culturally relevant that I don't think you can do it in 6 episodes. I don't think you can even begin to touch Vince McMahon in 6 episodes.
That's a good point.
I might watch that bit of that this week, and we'll chat about that next one. Contact eggchasers@gmail.com. JB's on LinkedIn, EggChasers Rugby on YouTube, Phil's lurking. We're patreon.com/eggchasers, and let the boys end.
Make us your game day headquarters this football season. Stop by the new ESPN Bet at your nearest Penn Play destination. Watch the best games on our giant screen TVs. Throw back a few ice-cold pints. And tackle the area's best game day food. To find a Penn Play destination near you, visit PennPlay.com. Score big this football season at your Penn Play game day headquarters. Sponsored by ESPN Bet. Hope is here. Call 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. Live chat at GameSenseMA.com.
At Jiffy Lube, we care about cars. In fact, we're kind of obsessed. That's why we've been taking care of business with quick quality oil changes and service for over 40 years. And with things like our Carful Vehicle Review, where our experts will check, fill, clean, and inspect your vehicle, you'll know we'll car for your car like we car for our own. Jiffy Lube. Car more.
Visit JiffyLubeDC.com to find a Jiffy Lube service center near you.